It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
Guardian of Chaos in the house. Garth Overstein, Athletic Gamer, Chris Segovia, One Fall, Yeet Hater, Ronnie C, DeMarcus. How's everybody doing? Sunday sit down, Sunday special. Do we call it the Sunday sit down, Sunday sauce, or Sunday special? This is not permanent, even though I know a lot of you would prefer it to be permanent. I actually think maybe we should just rotate back and forth. Do a Friday, do a Sunday. Do a Friday, do a Sunday. Do a Friday, do a Sunday. Don't do a Friday, don't do a Sunday. Listen, I don't mind doing Sunday nights, but weekends is usually it's like weekends at Bernie's. It's weekends, with Bella and Bruno and the bitch, the Triple B. MJF has his Triple B. I got my Triple B. Bruno, Bella, and the bitch. What's up, everybody? It is Sunday night, 8 p.m. Welcome to the sit down featuring yours truly, Don Tony. Hope everyone is having a nice weekend. First and foremost, I want to apologize for anyone out there that did not know we rescheduled the sit down from Friday to today. This is no bullshit, legit, straight up. I don't lie. I'm not good at lying, but no joke. I normally do the daily news updates now late at night. Usually around midnight, give or take an hour or so. It depends on what's going on over here. And Thursday night, I was getting ready to do the news, was going to make a few phone calls, and then I got a whole bunch of DMs about something. And then I got in touch with one of my friends, and somebody who I grew up with had passed away on Wednesday. And I normally don't go on Facebook. I don't go on Facebook for nothing. Ever since Trump ran for election 4 years ago, the way it divided friends, family, people I grew up with that suddenly just started blocking people because of who they wanted to vote for. And then just seeing all the political bullshit that's happened over the last 4 years, I really don't frequent Facebook much anymore. I had no idea that a close friend of mine that I grew up with died Wednesday. So a bunch of my friends were like, you got to go to the funeral Friday. You got to go to the funeral. So I was like, of course I'm going to go. So Friday night, I ended up going to my friend's wake. Today was the last day to see him, and I went again this afternoon. Cheated, ate Kentucky Fried Chicken on keto. So I might be a little bit extra riled up right now because I have no idea how my blood sugar is going to handle it. But it was just a crazy weekend. So I figure we have a little Sunday sit down, little relaxed talk, anything about the world of pro wrestling and beyond if you wish. So we are here, and that's why we're doing this Sunday night. Do we do it again on a Sunday? We'll see. We'll see. I'm not against it, but I don't want to start, flipping back and forth and changing up schedules. I mean, look, of course, this is not like on FM radio or satellite radio that we got to stick to the schedule. But I think some people might get annoyed, like, is it Friday or is it Sunday? Is it 8 o'clock? Is it 9 o'clock? Is it this? Like, we want to stick to a schedule at least. But tonight, right after I record this, I will be doing your next daily news update, and that is the thumbnail for tonight's episode that will drop for Monday morning. That anybody that got the video version of this morning's update, you know what that's all about. Great Muta's daughter made her United States debut yesterday at Queen of the Indies. And I watched actually a good amount of it early this morning. Unfucking believable that whoever ran this event in California, Revolution Pro or West Coast Wrestling, how did they stay in business? Because they had a decent lineup and the card wasn't bad, but you'd be lucky if they drew 80 people. And some of them were absolutely comped. I saw this event and I felt bad for all the girls. And I was like, holy shit, like that is a fucking, I mean, I've gone to like barbecues with more people. You would think at minimum you get a whole bunch of drunk middle-aged men that want to see some sexy women battling it out in the ring. The turnout was garbage. And this shit was hyped up for a while. And I was like, all right, I'm going to plug it. I'm going to watch it. And I saw it. I'm like, the fuck, where is everybody? So, yeah, that was that. And by the way, I saw a lot of TripleMania that took place yesterday in Mexico City. And I want to show everybody something right now. Just you'll get a kick out of this. You know, a lot of you know that I did work for XPW back in 2002, 2003. And most of you know the infamous story where I picked up all the Mexicans from the airport and took them to Howard Beach, Kentucky Fried Chicken, believe it or not. And they were hitting on all the girls in the neighborhood. And I was kind of worried we were going to get our ass kicked. And took them all to Philly from my neighborhood. And I did Damien 666, Halloween, Super Crazy, Psychosis. And I think Hoovy was also in the car as well. And I talked about how I took a whole bunch of pictures back then. I have video from my Olympus camera in 2002. I have video of them wrestling inside Kentucky Fried Chicken. Don't ask me how I still got the footage, but last night at TripleMania, Psychosis went into the AAA Lucha Libre Hall of Fame, and Rey Mysterio did a nice little dedication video for him, and he unmasked because he lost, you know, the cage match that they had. And I got to share this with you because a lot of you will remember Psychosis from ECW, from WCW, from WWE many years ago. And some of you probably have not seen Psychosis unmasked in a very long time. Guys, I mean, I have pictures of me from 20 years ago, 23 years ago in XPW, and you see my face, and a lot of people like, you look exactly the fucking same. Shit, DT, do you buy clothes? You still dress the same. This is Psychosis at TripleMania. Okay, that is Psychosis. All right, look at that face. Look at it closely. Now, here's one of the pictures that I took myself back in 2002. I mean, no disrespect, Psychosis. You didn't fucking age well. Holy shit. And for those that may not know Psychosis, he's the one on the left in this picture. By the way, that's my car on the right with the shopping bags on it. But yeah, that was a pisser to drive those guys all the way to Philly. That's behind the ECW arena. But how crazy is that? That was then, and this is now. Yeah, when you unmask, wait. Umar saying that first one is, one fall says first one is the original Psychosis. So you're saying that this is not the same Psychosis from back in the day? Wait, whoa. I'm a little confused now. Why did Rey Mysterio make this dedication for then? It's not the same Psychosis? Are you serious? You know what? That makes me feel a hell of a lot better. That makes me feel hell of a lot better. Wait. No, wait, whoa. All right, so the original one went in the Hall of Fame. So, okay. Now, understand it was in Spanish yesterday, so I don't understand Spanish. So, all right. So the original Psychosis went in the Hall of Fame. This one that we took pictures of. The one from last night. Okay. All right. Now I feel better. Now I feel a hell of a lot better because I'm like, people are sending me and I'm like, really? I mean, that was, thank you for clearing that up. That makes me feel a hell of a lot better, and probably would have avoided a Meltzer moment for me. We do now call them Meltzer moments. My friends, we just had a Meltzer moment. By the way, Alberto El Patron, I don't have pictures here. I am positive that the Alberto El Patron that beat Nick Nemeth yesterday, JBL made an appearance as well. That's the same Alberto El Patron. Have any of you seen Alberto recently. That guy, I don't know if he's having a midlife crisis or what. That guy got hair plugs. He's gotten himself in even better shape. That guy looks like he's legitimately trying to get back in WWE. I saw him come out yesterday. Now, I don't like him. After the stuff with Paige, and let me be clear, Paige was no innocent babe in the woods either. But the way he treated her, that's still, I don't care how much of a bitch you date, you still don't treat that person the way Alberto treated her. So I'm not a fan of him at all. But I saw him yesterday come out. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy looks like a superstar. The guy looks like a legitimate, grizzled veteran superstar. So would he go back to the WWE? Would WWE take him back? He really has to have cleaned up his act personally. I mean, I do check out Conan's podcasts, and Conan does sing some praise for Alberto. And some people that know him, have said that he has cleaned up his act. Hey, you get older, you get wiser, you get more mature, you get broke. Let's make that clear. I don't think Alberto, he had enough money to get hair plugs. But he would have to kiss the ring of H. But you know what? CM Punk and Triple H broke bread. Triple H, it's pretty, listen, people forget that Triple H was a big part of Bruno, not my dog, but San Martino, getting back in some good graces with WWE. Triple H has been involved in quite a few people making amends. And with Vince totally out of the picture, I think it opens the door for almost everybody. But, wow. He looks like a superstar. By the way, somebody sent me this. And they're like, DT, I'm sure you'll figure out how to use this. Some of you send me goofy videos and like, DT, figure out a way to use this. David Benoit was in attendance at TripleMania yesterday. If you don't believe me, here is visual proof. That is David Benoit. Tell me that doesn't look like David Benoit. That is not Photoshop. That was from some soccer game. They actually put the camera on that guy. I saw that and I'm like, I'm going to tell my grandkids David Benoit was at TripleMania. That is, oof. I mean, we feel bad for the survivors of the Benoit family, but oh my God. And what the fuck is up with the eyelashes on the first guy? Does he paint his eyelashes? Look at that guy in front of him. I don't know. This is creepy. Oh, come on. I'll make fun of myself. I'll show everybody my tits. Show everybody I could poke fun at myself. So listen, I'm obviously, a little bit lighthearted tonight. I sincerely do appreciate all of you from helping me avoid the Meltzer moment, because I absolutely was going to talk about that Psychosis picture. But you know what? The original one went in the Hall of Fame, and I still think this is a badass picture that I took of those guys back in 2002. I got others. We'll upload them. So, how's everybody doing this weekend? I hope you're enjoying the added content. I'm actually having a lot of fun doing the daily news updates. It's kind of fun to do everything in real time and not have to wait a week to talk about it, especially when you see all of the bullshit that you have been fed over the last 7 days. I mean, the appreciation that we got even just for the Jacob Fatu stuff. I mean, people just over and over again. That's why I'm really enjoying doing these almost every single day, because every day we're banging out, as much facts as we can. And so far, I mean, let me put it this way. For all of you that are wishing me fail, you almost got it tonight. Because if I didn't pull that picture early enough of Psychosis, I would have done the daily news update. And I would have said, my friends, what the fuck happened with Psychosis? How the fuck do you go from this to like a fucking 60-year-old looks like alcoholic fucking... Oh man, I avoided a massive Meltzer moment. Speaking of Meltzer, yes, we mentioned his name multiple times tonight. Listen, I'm still a supporter of Dave Meltzer, but obviously the best way I could describe Dave Meltzer in 2024 is if you are a baseball fan, choose any baseball team you want. If you're a basketball fan, choose your favorite NBA team, hockey, whatever. And you got a player on the team who is now a veteran, 20 years in the sport, and cannot do what they used to do. And they're just hanging on and hanging on. You don't want to see them fail. At the same time, you're very disappointed that you don't see them in their prime. Look at Jose Canseco. I watched over the weekend Jose Canseco be inducted into the A's Hall of Fame, even though the A's are jumping town. And, I saw somebody write, man, it's so sad to see people that I idolized growing up. I mean, yeah, maybe not the best person to idolize in Canseco, but, you see them now and, they're obviously not what you always perceive them to be. Even in sport where somebody is at the very end of their career. That's how I look at Dave Meltzer. I don't laugh at his missteps. I kind of like turn my head in disappointment that that you're just not putting in the work anymore. And my God, you see his office and you see it looks like a bomb hit it. It's not like, oh, well, I was cleaning up my office, and I kind of was like rushing the report. No, that fucking guy's like, hey, let me do the report, and he'll just like throw shit around. Hey, look, the Venting newsletter, for today. And his place looks like a bomb hit it. All he's got to do is sit down, contact his sources. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, is this true? And yeah, we'll open up with it. Big shout out to everybody who is sending us questions for the show. If you allow me a minute or two, I'd like to address our super chats first. I appreciate it and never feel obligated like you have to send one. But I also want people to understand, when people say to me, DT, why don't you stream Monday night shows on YouTube Live? Why don't you do this on YouTube? Why don't you do that on YouTube? We have no sponsors. If we had sponsors for like cereal and Blue Chew and real estate and fucking this, that, and the other thing, yeah, we would sit here all day long. Hey, guys, what did you think about Jacob Fatu? Love the detail with the boot. By the way, he teased that he was still injured, but he beat the crap out of Roman Reigns. Speaking of Roman Reigns, he might want to consider buying a life insurance policy because he could have been damn killed from Jacob Fatu. And speaking of life insurance, we got blah, 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 blah insurance. I don't want to do that. So downloading the shows at minimum, spreading the word, Patron, YouTube channel, whatever. Downloading the shows, that helps us. And we don't have sponsors. So we got to obviously try to work around that. And I really don't want to get those sponsors. Seriously, I get annoyed. And I swear on Jesus Christ, I'll never do another show again. I swear on Jesus Christ, come down and fucking hit me with a lightning bolt right now if I'm lying. Friday night, I went to my friend's wake. And we were in the diner afterwards, and I was checking messages to see how many people, were like, where's the show? Where's the show? Where's the show? And I saw that Eric Bischoff was live streaming during SmackDown. Yeah, that's smart. But anyway, he had like 95 viewers live. All right, no big deal. So I'm sitting in the diner, and I click on it, and I wanted to see what AEW bashing he was doing. And I swear on fucking God, on the screen, it was commercials for Save with Conrad. I'm like, they're in the middle of talking about the Shockmaster. And then all of a sudden, hey, why don't you save your mortgage? And I'm like, I can't. So, all right. Well, anyway, let's talk about Mr. Meltzer. Ronnie C sent this in. And by the way, shout out to everybody who's live with me right now. I appreciate everybody who tunes in the archives as well, but we haven't done Sundays for a while. Last week with Kev, obviously, which was a hell of a lot of fun. But hey, if there's enough demand for it, maybe we will switch back to Sundays. I don't know if I can commit to 4 Sundays a month. Maybe we'll do like 1 Friday and 3 Sundays, or 2 Fridays and 2 Sundays. We'll see. We'll see. DT, did I hear about Dave Meltzer's $288 million lie about AEW's worth on Warner Brothers TV? He is truly done as a reporter. Yeah, I did see some of it. I don't have pictures for display, for bullet points or talking points, but for those that don't know what happened, we know AEW's TV deal is about to be announced. I still believe it's going to be announced next week. I never thought that they were going to leave Warner Brothers Discovery. I mean, unless Warner Brothers Discovery just wants to do reruns of fucking court TV bullshit, they got to have something on their network. And like I said, with Tony Khan and his reason for being in wrestling, it is not to answer to investors and stockholders and maximize profits. Obviously, the guy doesn't want to take a bath. And listen, say what you want about Tony Khan. Put Tony Khan aside for a minute. Shahid Khan is not a dummy. And I don't care how much Shahid Khan loves his son. Even if his son was mentally retarded, even if he was disabled, even if he was on life support, even if he was autistic, even if he was like me, he loves his son. He wants his son to be happy. He wants his son to enjoy and to see his son enjoy the fruits of Shahid Khan's labor while he's alive. There's a lot of people out there. You ain't getting a dime until I'm 6 feet under the ground. Shahid Khan he's happy to see his son living out his dream. But he also wants his son to be responsible to a degree. And Tony Khan, and I want everybody to think about this, and this is defending Tony Khan right now. You never hear about Tony Khan saying, hey, look at it. Look, everybody, I bought these $35,000 headphones that have tape attached to them. Like, you don't see him like, hey, look at this $900,000 yacht that I have. Let's do a wrestling event in the back of my yacht. Hey, look, everybody, I got a $28,000 watch. That guy doesn't blow things. You don't hear him about spending it on prostitutes. Some people like, hey, he spends it on Babanya. But you don't hear Tony Khan recklessly spending money. It's not like the movie The Jerk, where he's walking around, oh no, the animals. He doesn't do any of that. So I think Tony Khan, to an extent, is a responsible person. I sound like Vince Russo now. Tony Khan is a responsible person. I big shout out to Vince Russo. I'm a fan. I've always been. But yeah, he is a responsible person, bro. Much love, Vince, for real. But no, I mean, Tony Khan, Shahid wants him to be responsible. And, to a certain extent, he doesn't want his son to really, put it this way, I don't think Shahid Khan thinks that any wrestlers that he signed are taking real advantage of Tony Khan. He still signs the checks. So with Dave Meltzer, there's no need. There's no need to lie. There's no need to say, I got an inside memo from Warner Brothers Discovery, and they said that AEW is worth $288 million in advertising or revenue a year. Why even say something like that? I sound like Vince Russo again. You know why he went with the 288? Multiply it by 5 years. Multiply it by 5 year. Do you remember a little over a year ago? Every single one of your lovable journalists out there were all reporting five-year, $1.4 billion deal. All Warner Brother upfronts 16 months ago. There were breaking news, TV deal done, 5 years, $1.5 billion. And I honestly, I hate to say it, but you all know it. I think we were the only one that called bullshit the same day. because you don't announce TV deals with Warner Brother upfronts, media upfronts. That's not the place to do it. That's where you announce your schedules, but you don't announce TV deals. This isn't the NBA. Oh, we signed them to a contract. And they were all lying. But somebody, for those that don't know, somebody earlier this year apparently went on a Fightful message board and claimed to be involved with Fightful. And I don't even know if the guy was involved with Fightful. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm in the advertising business. And somebody with a fucking insanely sick, mentally deranged amount of free time involved. If anybody's seen the banner, I will show it tomorrow when Kevin and I go live. Somebody with a sick, crazy amount of too much free time on their hands did this whole giant report of why AEW is worth $288 million a year. And they're talking about Ring of Honor and break it up into episodes. And I'm like, I could picture this person sitting at home and acting like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. AEW is worth $288 million. AEW. Who the fuck comes up with that and is not involved in Warner Brothers Discovery? Is not in the, plus, even if you're in the advertising world, who the fuck is going to leak out from Warner Brothers Discovery to some random person on a message board everything you want to know about AEW? You'd spend jail time with Martha Stewart if you do something like that. So what happens? Dave Meltzer apparently does a Google search and finds this message board post from April. And he sees it and he's like, nobody's talking about it. I read an inside memo from Warner Brothers Discovery. And he lied. And he got caught. And he took it down. Just let AEW announce their fucking TV deal. You're not going to go into the Wikipedia history books that Dave Meltzer or this person was the first person to announce. Just let them announce the fucking TV deal, and that's it. I don't get all of these people. They're crazy. They're insane. Look at that report. Honestly, whoever that was is deranged. Where do you get that kind of free time to do something like that? I mean, unless you're on some major fucking cocaine and you're up for 3 days in a row, because I couldn't even come up with something like that. Stupid. Very stupid. Yeet hater. Who's winning it all in? Swerve Strickland or Bryan Danielson? No crazy amounts of brain cells needed for this one. Thank you, Yeet hater. Guys in the chat, who you going with? I'm going to tell you right now, I think I'm going with Bryan Danielson. It's interesting. 3 years ago, I posted a thumbnail. Wow. Right away, swerve. You know why I think it's going to be Danielson? 3 years ago, I'm sure a lot of you remember the thumbnail that I did of Bryan Danielson, and I said, will it ever happen? And I had him holding the AEW World Championship. I was told from a friend of mine that works there 3 years ago that Bryan Danielson told Tony Khan back then, I don't want to win the World Championship. I want to help build the stars of tomorrow. Put it on them. I don't want to become world champion. You almost feel like Cody Rhodes did the same thing. Why did Cody do that stipulation for MJF 4 years ago, whatever it was? Think about it. Like, why would you strap yourself and handicap yourself like that even before he got up and left? Why would you do that? Unless, I just thought of something. Was Cody thinking of this idea in AEW before he decided I'm getting the fuck out of here? That sooner or later, we were going to have an AEW version of We Want Cody? Could it be that maybe when Cody was still on the ship of AEW, thought to himself, you know what? I know I'm not fighting for the world championship, but one day the fans will insist so much. We want Cody. We want Cody. We want him to be our champion, that Cody Rhodes goes against his stipulation and demands that he gets a championship shot because he's doing it for the people. I freaking bet you they were going to do a We Want Cody in AEW before he got the sour grapes. I bet you. But I think over the last 3 years, Bryan Danielson has seen some of the decline of AEW. If you're honest with yourself, you look at the differences in attendances, you look at the differences in revenue, you look at the differences in ratings. Don't blame it on streaming media or people cutting the cord or anything like that. If you're cutting the cord and they're still drawing 8,000-9,000 fans in attendance, okay, fine. I will write it off as that. But here, we talked about it, I think yesterday. Look at AEW Grand Slam when they came here to Queens, New York, a couple of years ago. You look at that attendance, and then you look at the next 2 or 3 times they came after that. Look at it now. It's a shell of what it was before. And it's consistently, I'll never forget that picture of Adam Copeland that we did that graphic, You Think You Know Show him, as a spoof on his theme song. He was in front of like 75% of the building was empty. I think after 3 years, I think Bryan Danielson has realized, you know what? AEW can use me as world champion, and then I could pass the torch to someone else. I'm going with Bryan Danielson. And plus, remember, isn't Darby Allin waiting in the wings at Grand Slam to face the winner of Swerve versus Danielson? Danielson's reign could be a very short one, and he could end up passing the torch to Darby Allin. I'm not criticizing Darby or this isn't about Darby Allin being champion right now, but I really think Bryan Danielson is walking out the champion. You know why else? This is not a shot on Swerve. No way is this a shot on Swerve. I absolutely am a big fan of Swerve, and I'm a bigger fan of Prince Nana, obviously, for obvious reasons. You look at this new documentary series that AEW is doing on YouTube, and go back to Tony Khan, the fan. Tony Khan still does interviews these days with people, and they'll be talking about nuts. They'll be talking about cheese and nuts, and somehow Tony Khan will be like, we just had one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Sting, have an amazing run in AEW, arguably the greatest run of his career, and he retired undefeated as champion. I could picture him a year or two from now. We had an amazing all-in Wembley. We came back, and Bryan Danielson had one of the most amazing moments in the history of AEW, and he walked out of there world champion. I just don't picture. This is not a black or a white thing. This is not anything of that sort. I just don't picture Tony Khan talking to Dan Lebart, retard, whatever it is, any fucking podcast you want to choose, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, and saying, you know, we came back to Wembley and had an amazing return, and Swerve made history and walked out as the champion and retired Bryan Danielson. And it was such an amazing moment, and arguably, I don't picture him gushing over Swerve like he would gush over Bryan Danielson. Swerve was not Tony Khan's favorites. Swerve forced Tony Khan's hand because the fans forced his hand. I don't think suddenly Tony Khan has this gushy love for Swerve Strickland. If that was the case, when Swerve made history and became AEW world champion, that motherfucker would have come out and main evented the first Dynamite afterwards, and instead they had Jon Moxley defend some IWGP Japanese championship to close out Dynamite. The first Dynamite after Swerve won that championship, if I remember correctly, I think it was Jon Moxley that main evented his fucking, not even an AEW championship. Swerve got over with the fans. I don't think Swerve has gotten insanely over with Tony Khan. I think Tony Khan in interviews years from now, we had that amazing moment with Sting, one of the greatest of all time, and he retired as champion. And Bryan Danielson, we had this amazing moment at All In, and he won the championship, and he retired as champion. I'm not saying that Bryan Danielson is going to retire as champion, but I could picture Tony Khan in that Rain Man voice and that smile on his face and the glasses and the afro talking about that amazing, unbelievable moment when Bryan Danielson in front of 65,000 fans in Wembley did the unthinkable and dethroned Swerve and retired as champ. Just fits. It's a feel-good moment. Swerve could win that fucking belt back a year from now. Swerve could win it 5 times. Swerve could become one of the greatest AEW world champions of all time. He's got years ahead of him. Bryan Danielson does not. That's why I think Bryan Danielson could walk out. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's what's beautiful about being a wrestling fan. We can be wrong. We can root for somebody and they lose. And trust me, if Bryan Danielson loses, it's not going to be like Drew McIntyre, Clash at the Castle, that I'm going to wish like a heart attack like people wished on Triple H. How dare you do that to Drew McIntyre? Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre goes out to dinner, afterwards. He FaceTimes his wife. He's like, honey, look at the paycheck I got. But you lost. This is not real, honey. It's sports entertainment. Don't worry. One day I'll become champion again. Right now we're building a story where I could kick CM Punk's ass. The fans get more upset than the wrestlers themselves. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa lose the SmackDown Tag Team Championships to the Bloodline in Cleveland, Ohio. And that night, people online, motherfucking Triple H, you fucking used them as How dare you do that in Cleveland? Did you see the video from an hour after SmackDown? Did Johnny Gargano go cry and pee in a corner and sulk? Johnny Gargano went to some fucking party with Tommaso Ciampa, and you got Indy Hartwell going, you can't see me. My time is now. They were fucking living it up because this is their job. Their job is to entertain. Wrestling is supposed to break your heart sometimes. Wrestling is supposed to break your heart sometimes. That's the problem with a lot of wrestling fans in 2024. You cannot break their heart. You break their heart, they take it personally, want your head on a silver platter. And my heart will not be broken if Bryan Danielson loses. My heart will not be broken if Bryan Danielson wins. It's kind of like, if Cena wins, we go home. ECW 2005, if Cena wins, we riot. And then some other fans like, are you fucking stupid? It's wrestling. Go get laid. What the fuck are you talking about? How's this for a sign? I don't have any markers. If Cena wins, we go home. That Kentucky Fried Chicken has got me all out of whack today. I apologize. I know my words are a little extra salty today. Please do not take it at heart. We're just having fun, couple of laughs. Please, I have no anger inside me. I like to be entertained. I'm going to watch All In. I'm going to enjoy it. I ain't paying for it, but I'm absolutely going to watch it. BTC 316, what do I think about the TNA WWE relationship show so far? Should they do more? I think the relationship has been great so far. I kind of wish that they would do more. I kind of wish that it would be more than just NXT popping up. I'm sorry. Dante Chen showing up on Impact is kind of like if the ice cream man drives by my house and he's got no ice cream in the truck. Like he drives by, but there's no music and the window's not open. He's just driving home. He's just driving to go get gas. Look, that's kind of like some people that they have, it is what it is. But you know what? It is a huge home run for TNA because they know for a fact that Joe Hendry could ultimately sign with WWE. So you know what? If we could sell out 5,000 tickets at a pay-per-view in the process, and if we could start getting better revenue and better this and better that, TNA, it's a home run right now. I'll say this. I don't know how a lot of people in TNA feel right now since, what's his face left? I'm drawing a fucking blank right now. Canadian. Who's the guy that just left? Holy shit. I see him. Glasses, fat like me. Oh God. Who's the guy that just left? Oh, it's Scott D'Amore. I caught myself. Scott D'Amore. Fat like me. Scott D'Amore. I don't know how people feel since he left, but do you remember when he first left? They wrote this open letter, but nobody really had the balls to sign their name behind it. Like, TNA, you should reconsider and reevaluate this and that. I read over the weekend, Gail Kim cannot be happier than what's going on in TNA right now. And I looked at that, and it's like that meme, like the guy from Caddyshack, the guy that was in the boat and he sees the yacht. Like when I read that from Gail Kim, I was like, looked at it, I was like, ooh, I wonder how Scott D'Amore feels about that. With all due respect, I'm not criticizing Scott D'Amore. I don't know the man. I like him. I rooted for him. I felt that TNA made a mistake when they first let him go. Now I don't feel that they made a mistake anymore. Now I keep saying to myself, how come Scott D'Amore could not work out something with Triple H a year ago or 2 years ago? Like, Scott D'Amore might be a little bit inside the box too much for TNA. You look at the last 5 years for TNA, does it feel like there was a lot of growth? I say no. I mean, to me, ever since Tessa Blanchard was gone, and listen, she's not the reason for the decline, but ever since she was gone, it felt like there was no identity. It's like, oh, let's try this. Let's try Lucha Underground stuff. Let's try this type of stuff. Let's try this fucking, Wrestle House, and let's do this goofy stuff, and let's pretend this, and let's pretend that. And let's have this happen. And it just felt like there was no identity. And I think TNA just got to a point, Anthem got to a point like, listen, there's an old Janet Jackson song, what have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah. And I think they were like, this company ain't growing with you fucking at the helm. He leaves. And look what's going on now. Is it because of him? I don't know, but it sure feels that way. So I think they're doing great right now. I wish they would do more, but maybe we'll see more when we get closer to the Royal Rumble. But I definitely would like to see more. Absolutely. And I think they're doing good so far. Overall, it's fun. It's fun. And you know what WWE realized? They ain't losing no money right now. By the way, we have horrible rain. I don't know if you could hear it. I'm not going to move the mic and risk fucking something up here audio-wise, but we have crazy rain going on right now. I always worry about rain because my internet cables are underground, and we have a crawl space, and it gets soaked in there, and then sometimes we lose internet. So if this show happens to abruptly end, trust me, I didn't sit here and go, it's disconnected on everybody. That means, the fucking internet went out. So just letting everybody know. I know you don't hear any rain. I don't want to move the mic. I'm kind of, no, I'm not going to, no, I can't. Just, if you don't believe me, go to weather.com and type in 11414. That's my zip code. Trust me, it's a big town. You won't be able to find me. Umar with the 10, is that pounds? Hope you're good, DT. Did you know, as M from the UK, people are getting their tickets upgraded for no extra cost, and UK Army service can watch All In for free? My thoughts. I think giving something to military is a nice thing to do, no matter who it is. Listen, there's donut shops. Show your military ID, get a free donut. You know what I mean? Like, doing something for the military is a nice gesture. They fight for the country's freedom. They get something in return. It's fine with me. As far as upgrading tickets, it's a bad example, but this is the best way I could tell you right now. And I swear this is a true story. It's not a long one. My father's got a Mercedes truck that's about 10 years old. It's given him a lot of problems. Mercedes, I don't know if any of you owned a Mercedes in the last 10 years, but Mercedes, when something goes wrong, you got to pay the dealer between like $200 and $500 just to put it on a computer, figure out what's wrong. So my father's truck is over 10 years old, and he brings it to Mercedes last week, and he pays, I think, $200, and they found a whole bunch of problems. So my father's like, look, is it worth fixing and this and that? And the dealership said to him, like, look, if you want to trade it in, maybe we could work out a deal. So my father saw this Mercedes truck there, and they wanted $76,000 for it. It's a leftover for 2024. And my father's like, I don't need all the bells and whistles. Just give me navigation, give me a radio, and make sure the car runs. That's all I want. I don't need $10,000 in goodies, but it's a leftover. So they're trying to get my father to buy a leftover instead of ordering a basic Mercedes for 2025. So my father says, what could you do for me? And they want to get that Mercedes leftover sold. So they ended up taking about $11,000 off the bill. And they're giving my father $2,000 more for the truck that he originally was offered. So my father is getting a $76,000 Mercedes for $59,000. My point is that he held out, and because they wanted his business, they gave him an upgrade. Listen, you can have this one and we'll give you all the goodies extra, no cost, just buy it. So now he's going to finance it. With AEW, if they have a decent number of tickets on the floor that are not being sold, or maybe the first section up and there's empty areas, if they're allowing people to upgrade, sure. I mean, listen, if they don't upgrade it and they leave those seats empty, what statement? Are you going to get AEW fans? Oh, did you see those empty seats? Well, they could have upgraded it to people, but they stood their ground, and, it was their loss for not upgrading and paying the extra money. Nah, just fucking upgrade them. Come here. Want to sit? Look at Billy Joel. Look at Billy Joel. For those that don't know, be really quick with this one. Billy Joel still sings. And somebody told me a story not too long ago that Billy Joel, because of scalpers and because people scooping up like the first row or two of tickets and selling it for insane amounts of money, that they don't sell front row tickets anymore for his concerts. What he does is he has his staff look around in the crowd, and when he sees someone really excited to see Billy Joel, not psycho territory like that freak online towards Liv Morgan, not somebody that has Billy Joel tattooed to the front of his head, wearing Billy Joel, everything all over their body, that's creepy. But if somebody is like really, fan shirt and just really having a great time, you know what? You want to go sit front row? That's what they do. They pull people out of the audience that are just really having a great time, and they let them sit front row. That's a cool thing to do. That is pretty damn cool. So I don't have any issue with AEW allowing people to upgrade. They're going to have a nice turnout. As I said 2 days ago, if you saw the press conference in Texas, pay very close attention that Tony Khan did not say the word Wembley when he said they're going back to the UK in 2026 for All In. If I'm Tony Khan, take a lesson from Grand Slam here in New York. I live in Queens, New York. I got a lot of friends of mine that became wrestlers. I have friends that were wrestlers that I became friends with. Queens, New York City, Brooklyn, even parts of Long Island is a wrestling town. Wrestling fans go to wrestling events in this neck of the woods. The fact that they are drawing so far less for Grand Slam, trust me, even though the ticket prices are high, people will fucking pay. People were paying hundreds of dollars to take a picture with Bianca Belair or Bailey or Cody Rhodes. Again, I'm not saying they're not worth it. What I'm saying is that if people want to pay, they will pay, especially in New York. Especially in New York. So they should take a page from what's going on at Grand Slam right now and say, listen, we go back to the UK in 2026. We should not take the chance of filling only 40,000 seats. Yesterday's video version, or this morning's Daily News Update, I put the video version for our channel members here on YouTube, go look at the very end of that report. I reposted the thumbnail that I posted from last year. A lot of you may forget this. Dave Meltzer, a year ago, said that if AEW fills up 30% at Wembley, that is a success. And I posted a screenshot of what Wembley looks like 40% full. It looks fucking empty. It looks awful. And that's 40% full. 10% more than what Dave Meltzer said would be a success. If I'm AEW, I go to a smaller venue. Go to a stadium that holds 30, 40,000 fans. If you find out, shit, we had 5,000 fans that couldn't attend because it was sold out, well, then you go back to Wembley the year after. Oh, fucking well. Do not go to an 80,000 seat arena and only fill 40,000 and have some writer say, that's a success. It looks empty. It looks awful. So they got to be very, very smart. And again, as far as the upgrades go, I have no issue with it at all. None. Zero. Thank you, Umar, for that. Julius Tillery, in my New York opinion, what makes a bad driver? Anybody remember my old intro? The road rage? You know, what was the show that we used to do? Blah, blah, blah. You remember that? What are you, stupid? Get a fucking license. I don't drive crazy anymore. In my opinion, if you drive like shit, I don't care where you all live. If you drive like shit, if you get really, really upset at other people while you drive, if you cut corners a little too fast, if you brake a little bit too fast, if you drive a little recklessly, learn from me. I had a gun pulled on me twice in my lifetime. Nothing ever happened, but I had a gun pulled on me twice because I thought I was hot shit behind the wheel. And trust me, I almost dropped a turd both times that happened. This is my honest advice. Get a dash cam. Get a dash cam. It'll solve all your problems. If you have an accident and it's not your fault, you got video proof that it's not your fault. I've been in the insurance business since 1998, and I've had a decent share of people that I insured that had accidents and it weren't their fault. And the other people were trying to twist it around. Get a dash cam, and if it wasn't your fault, you got proof. You know what the dash cam also does? It records what you do. When I first got my dash cam, all right, I'll tell the story. I'm sorry. I think some of you appreciate it. Please, this is not trying to name drop, but I'll tell a story. Missy Hyatt used to live in my neighborhood. I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't remember what year it was, but Missy Hyatt used to live in my neck of the woods. And one time I was driving home. I had a dash cam. I've had a dash cam now for about 15 years. One time I was driving home, and, you know, maybe one day in the very near future, I'll drive the route so you could see, you know, behind the wheel what I'm talking about. But when I drive home, I go through an underpass and it splits. One lane goes this way, the other lane goes this way. And so there's two lanes. When you get to the corner by the traffic light, it goes this way. So she had, I think it was Georgia plates. I don't remember what state it was. It might have been Georgia. Forgive me if it wasn't Georgia, but she had out-of-state plates. And I knew it was her because she used to go to the post office my office is down the block. And the postman had always took care of her because she was selling a lot of merchandise from her home. And she would go to the post office with mounds of stuff, and people knew who she was. And my friend Frank, who worked behind the booth, I would come in to buy stamps once in a while and be like, oh, Missy was here the other day. I'm like, oh, that's cool. She doesn't know who the fuck I am, I don't think. But I knew that she had like a truck. I don't know if it was a Pathfinder, but she had some type of a truck, and it was out-of-state plates. So I'm driving home, and I go to the underpass, and I see the truck. I didn't realize it was her because I wasn't looking. Like, I'm not driving and be like, oh, look. I was driving and I see a truck. And as we get to the intersection, and I think we're both going to go like this, as I go like this truck is like this. And I slammed on the brake and I hit the curb with my wheel and I'm blasting on. I'm like, what are you, fucking stupid? And the truck kept going. I don't think, in fairness, she even saw what she did. But when she went by and I saw the play, oh shit. And I went home, but I looked at it on my dash cam after, and it was kind of my fault too, because I should have saw earlier that she was a little close to my lane, and all I had to do was just slow down. But, I guess because I felt I was in the right, being in that lane, that she shouldn't be in my lane and fuck off. But instead of me just slowing down, and that would have been the end of it, I kept going and we almost collided and I fucking blasted my horn. And when I watched the footage afterwards, I was like, well, it was kind of my fault. So when you have a dash cam, it records what you do. And if you have Geico has the Drive Safe program now, and Geico monitors your GPS to see if you're texting while you're driving or how much you drive. And I know it's kind of an invasion on privacy, but since I don't drive that much, Geico sees that I don't drive much and I don't text. I don't drive crazy anymore. I save $500 off my insurance. So I can't tell you what makes a bad driver, but I could tell you what makes a good driver. And that's kind of straightened my ass out. Took a long time, man. I used to have road rage. I used to record people. I used to slam on the brakes. I remember one time I was coming home from a club in the early 90s. I swear, I'm not proud of it. I swear to God this happened. I was on the Grand Central Parkway coming home from Long Island at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was in the left lane and some guy, some douchebag in front of me was going like the speed limit. How dare you go to speed limit at 3 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody on the road? I was doing like 65 or 70 in a 50 or 55. So I flashed the high beams and he hits his brakes. So I shouldn't have flashed the high beams. I should have just went around him. But I flashed the high beams and he hit the brakes. And I kind of hit my brakes hard. I'm like, oh yeah, watch this. I go around him. I fucking slammed my foot on the brakes. And my car started going like this. His car started going like this. And we ended up being okay. But if that guy would have fucking crashed into the divider and got killed, I would have been in jail for 20 years. For what? Just so I could go, ha ha. That'll show you not to flash your high beams again, asshole. It's not worth it, man. It ain't worth it. I could tell you so many fucking stories. I could tell you the terrorist story. The terrorist story. I'm still convinced to this day it was a terrorist that almost fucking killed me. I got so scared. I fucking ran red lights. Thank God there were no cameras at the time. I ran red lights. I got away from this guy. I was driving on the LIE. We'll move on. I'll be quick. We'll move on. I'll tell the terrorist story. Some of you know this story already. We've told it on Patreon before. I was on the Long Island Expressway. And if any of you have ever been in my neck of the woods on the Long Island Expressway, going west towards New York City, there's an exit called Woodhaven Boulevard and Queens Boulevard. You get off of Woodhaven Boulevard, where I live, you get off Woodhaven Boulevard and you go straight for about 20 minutes to my neighborhood. So I'm getting in the right lane to get off the Woodhaven Boulevard exit, and there's some guy in an old car that won't let me get in. And I speed up. And this fucking asshole speeds up also. And I'm like, what the fuck is this wrong with this guy? I couldn't slow down because there was cars behind me. And this guy was just being a prick for no reason. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. So I'm just chilling, going to speed limit. And right when we got to the exit, I floored it and cut in. And I hit my brakes. And the guy almost hit the back of my car. And he's like this. And I'm looking in my mirror and like, what the fuck's your problem? What the fuck? I'm trying to get over. So now when you get off that exit, there's only one lane. And if you ever get off at Woodhaven Boulevard, and I'm sure there's YouTube videos for everything. I bet you if you go on YouTube and type in Long Island Expressway, Woodhaven Boulevard exit, somebody recorded themselves getting off the exit. You go off the exit and there's like all these turns. So as we're going off, now this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so there's a lot of cars on the road. So it's not like I'm zooming through these turns. Like there's cars in front of me and I'm going through the turns. And while I'm doing that, this guy is on my ass, almost hitting my car, trying to get around my car. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He can't get around my car. There's only one lane. So we get to Woodhaven Boulevard and I floor it and I go on the left lane and I'm trying to get away from this guy and this guy's chasing me. So we drive about 2-3 blocks. We get to a red light. He goes in the turning lane and I look over and all I see is this guy. He looked, how do I say this politically correct? He looked like Saddam Hussein. And I looked inside his car and there were no seats in his car, no passenger seat, no back seats. And in his car, there was about maybe 12 gas cans. And this guy is screaming everything except for the English language. And he's beat red and he's cursing me out and he's saying this, saying that. And I look in his car and I see 12, at least a dozen big red gas cans. And I look and there's no seats. And he didn't look like he was going to Raceway Park to race his car. I was like, this fucking guy's going to blow me up. And I fucking floored it. And I got away from him. I went home and I was nervous. I looked on the news for days if somebody blew up somebody in the neighborhood or somebody tried to, it was the craziest thing. And listen, it's not like because he looked like Saddam Hussein, he was a terrorist. He could have been Chinese, he could have been a gangster, he could have been fucking black, could have been Italian, could have been Jewish. He could have been, I fucking kidding you, the fish. It could have been anybody. But all I know is I'm just telling you the nationality I saw. He looked like Saddam Hussein. He was beat red, screaming at me in every fucking thing you could possibly think of. I look in his car, the seats are pulled out, and there's nothing but gas cans. And I'm like, and I fucking flew it. And anybody out there that tells me, it's fucking racist, that's bullshit. I'm just telling you what I saw. And by the way, nobody blew up anything. For all I know, he could have been just going to fill up his boat. But it was such the craziest thing. And listen, there's no way I could have lied and made that up because I could have been way more dramatic with that. Somebody asking me about the gun story. Oh, the gun story is not even fun. I was maybe 19 years old and I was driving down Metropolitan Avenue and some guy cut me off. So I cut him off. And we got to the red light. My friend Joey was in the car with me. And the guy rolls down his window and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I looked at him. I said, what's wrong with you? And he opens up his jacket and all you see is the handle of a gun. And my friend Joey's like, fucking, what did he say? He said, floor it. And we fucking flew away. He's like, you idiot, you almost got a shot. The whole thing lasted 5 seconds. He's like, what's your problem? What the fuck's your problem? He just showed the handle of the gun. And I was like, I'm out of here. The incident on the highway was about 15 years ago, 13 years ago. It's not that it was, soon, it was definitely because I lived in Howard Beach and I've been in Howard Beach since 2000, but I was already living in Howard Beach. It's about 15 years ago. It was after 9/11. I'll tell you that much. Listen, I don't care what nationality you are. If I see you in a car or filling up 10, 15, 20 gas cans, what are you filling up 20 gas cans for? What do you possibly have? You having a giant barbecue and you need it for generators? There's no reason to have something like that. It was just the scariest thing I ever saw. They were all stacked up. If you ever go inside a car, you can't line up 12 gas cans. You probably could put maybe 5 or 6 on the floor. They were fucking stacked up. All I saw was red gas cans everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I got scared. Now, I don't know what I thought. First of all, in hindsight, I don't think the guy was going to try to blow me up because he would have died too. Scorpio 1117, thank you for the 2 spot. Who do I have between Tony Storm and Mariah May? Boy, I kind of lean towards Toni Storm, especially if Mercedes Moné retains over Britt Baker. And I still think Mercedes Moné will retain over Britt Baker. So I think you're going to have at least one babyface women's champion out of this. So because I still think Mercedes retains, I'm going with Toni Storm to retain. Gruss says he lives on a Texas ranch and he needs 20 gas cans. Yeah, but not all at the same time. I seriously doubt all at the same time you're filling up gas cans, you know? Am I drinking coffee? No, I have sparkling water. Seltzer. Mariah May, it's not that she's not ready. What do you do with Mariah May after this? I think this feud continues after All In. But I also believe that, you know what I think is going to happen ultimately? I think Mercedes and Camille are going to have a falling out. Not right now, but they're going to have a falling out. And then that's when you're going to see Camille maybe feud with Mercedes Moné. And I'm surprised at how few people are comparing Camille with Mercedes Moné, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker. Because it sure feels like they did the same fucking thing because they didn't want people saying, oh, I want Jamie Hayter to face Britt Baker. So they had them aligned so people wouldn't say that. I think that's the reason why Camille. Why does Mercedes Moné need Camille? If you really think about it, they put them together so you don't have tons of fans online. Camille, I want to see Camille versus Mercedes Moné. Right now, Camille is, she's having matches, but what is she doing? She's not like building to a championship unless Camille feuds with Toni Storm next. That would be something interesting. Camille feuds with Toni Storm. I believe Jamie Hayter is still injured. Pro Wrestling Talk. Who was it? One Fall sent this early. And he wanted to know, and for all of you out there, if any of you saw TripleMania yesterday, I saw a good portion of it. Matt Riddle winning the Cruiserweight Championship was interesting because I don't look at Matt Riddle as a Cruiserweight, but whatever. I remember when Samoa Joe fought in the X Division. We all thought the X Division at the time was only Cruiserweights. That's TNA days. TripleMania was interesting. Pretty cool to see JBL come out of there. I got a kick out of when JBL and Nick Nemeth were there for the national anthem, almost like they were kind of heels, being from the United States. I thought it was so stupid that people were saying yesterday that JBL looked like The Undertaker. First of all, JBL was wearing a brown overcoat, leather jacket, like a long coat, and he's wearing a cowboy hat. It's like now if anybody wears a long jacket and a hat, people like, oh, he's ripping off Undertaker. JBL looked nothing like The Undertaker yesterday. He was wearing a Texas outfit. Camille is a star. Camille absolutely is a star. I don't like this slow burn with Camille. I think that's one of the problems AEW does with too many of their women. They come in and there's this slow burn. You look at Deonna Purrazzo, and it feels like she has hit a lull. I don't care if she's fighting Thunder Rosa or Thunder Lightfoot. Deonna Purrazzo's hitting kind of a lull. Thunder Rosa's obviously hit a lull. Nobody comes in and Mercedes Moné might have had the most successful, start of her AEW career than any other woman in that company. She came in and Tony is like, which title should we give her? Which title should we give her? Can we give her more? He reached out all the promotions. Do you have an extra title? I want to give Mercedes one. Please. I honestly think, I know this sounds perverted, especially if Mercedes Moné is single right now, I think Tony Khan has the hots for her. I swear to fucking God. I listen, I'm no person that hung around wrestling locker rooms that much. You could tell when someone's got googly eyes for someone, and I think Tony Khan has the googly eyes for Mercedes Moné. I swear to fucking God. Even the way he talks, I mean, you know, you want to say that she's the greatest woman wrestler of this generation? You know, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I'm telling you, I think sooner or later you're going to start seeing rumors that Tony Khan has the hots for Mercedes Moné. But then again, I know what some of you are going to say. DT, can you blame him? Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't. If I was in his position, and for the record, I don't think there's anything wrong with a promoter having a relationship with a wrestler. This is not high school where a teacher is sleeping with the student. These are adult individuals. Mercedes Moné is what, in her 30s now? And Tony's in his 40s? These are adults. I see nothing wrong with it. So if they end up having a fling or anybody having a fling, there is nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. I want to make that clear. Maggie thinks that Tony has googly eyes for Orange Cassidy. I just think Tony adores Orange Cassidy. I think he's kind of like the cousin that he never had. You know, he's got a special appreciation for Orange Cassidy. Hey, you know, AEW fans like Orange Cassidy, so, you know, I understand why he gets the push that he gets. They've kind of pulled back a little bit. If you really look at it, they've pulled back on Orange Cassidy a little bit. But, yeah, I could see why people feel that way. Chris Maycock is asking, what do I think about Lashley and MVP parting ways? Well, they're not parting ways. They parted ways with the WWE. I think Kevin and I had a very strong discussion about this about 3 weeks ago. Bobby Lashley's approaching 50. It's different with AJ Styles. AJ Styles has that in-ring repertoire that's a little bit more exciting, that helps enhance the stars of tomorrow and some stars of today. Bobby Lashley, his style is either main event or no event. If anybody understands what I mean. Bobby Lashley does not say, oh, give me $75,000 and I'll be happy. You know, just pay my bills. You know, just give me a little bit more. Give me $1 more than what my previous contract was and I'll be happy. Bobby Lashley demands prime money. For WWE in 2024, Bobby Lashley is not worth that kind of money. That is not a shot on Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley could absolutely enhance TNA right now. I think Bobby Lashley could possibly work in Japan and have a nice run in Japan. Bobby Lashley in 2024 is not going to dominate Raw. He ain't certainly going to dominate SmackDown anytime soon. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So MVP, through his Texas company, as we discussed this morning, MVP just trademarked, I think, the Hurt Syndicate. I love the name. And I have a feeling we're going to see new members added. And I think one of the members is going to be from TNA. I think you will see Bobby Lashley and MVP in AAA. I think there's a possibility you may have Bobby Lashley and MVP as that wild card team in AEW All In. As crazy as that sounds, they will do fine. They will do just fine. In 2024, unfortunately, Bobby Lashley does not fit in for the main event picture for WWE. Yeah, they'll be on Indies. MVP will be on the Indies. Believe it or not, I think Jinder Mahal and Satnam Singh are going to be a tag team in AEW soon. Bite my tongue, right? Satnam Singh and Jinder Mahal in AEW. Remember that. All right. I still can't get over that what do we call it? The Meltzer miscue earlier? The Meltzer miscue? The Meltzer mistake. Oh, thank God, man. I look at the nose and I'm like, how does your nose go from that to that? You ever see Dave Meltzer's nose? And I'm not trying to make fun of him. I still support Dave Meltzer. it's sad to see some of the things going down. You know, even the Office story, like I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm like, how do you jump the gun on something like that? Like, stop trying to be the first person to break something. Because when you're wrong, especially because of his value and his worth and his history, it's not like a regular dirt sheet or wannabe journalist that gets it wrong. This is one of the biggest names in wrestling media history getting it wrong. And when you report somebody's death, and it hasn't happened yet, especially when you think of all the other errors this year, it's like, man, you know, how do you keep getting shit wrong like that? It's weird. It's bizarre. Even like the stupidest of stupid cut and paste artists don't even get it wrong like that. Even those fucking YouTube channels, all it is robot voices. Today in pro wrestling, MVP and Bobby Lashley have parted ways with the WWE. They don't even get shit wrong. And this guy's getting it brutally wrong. Wow. I saw the stuff that he said about Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. Like they're purposely keeping them away from each other, this and that. And I'm like, you could see that was just a guess. And they were wrong. We talked about it last week. Remember the report that PW Insider and Meltzer brought up? And they were talking on both sides of their mouth about Jacob Fatu. They used at least 4 words that ended in LY. Whenever you see a journalist write a statement or a news article and they have to use words that end in LY, more than one word, they are just guessing. And I'm just shocked that they could guess that wrong. It's not, I wouldn't say it's time for Dave to give it up. Stop trying to be, pun intended, an elite journalist. Stop trying to be the elite guy that breaks everything that has to be first. I think Dave Meltzer could make just as much money if he reacts and gives his thoughts about news that other people break. Look at Jim Cornette. He is, whether you like him or not, to me, the #1 wrestling podcast out there. Is Jim Cornette a journalist? No. Is Brian Last a journalist on that show? No. They react to what everybody else is reporting. Jim, AEW scored 701,000 viewers. Ouch! Ouch! Do that for 45 minutes. Make a couple of $100. Fine with me. Entertaining. They comment on everybody else's news. Nothing wrong with that. They make a killing. Dave Meltzer does not have to be the author of all the news going on. If Fightful breaks it before you, fine. Nobody is going to say, they beat you to it. Nobody's going to remember a year from now. TNA announces the TV deal and you react to it and somebody else broke it. People will remember you're commenting about a factual story, not going out there and saying you got an inside. Think about that. He read an internal memo from Warner Brothers. Anybody ever ask themselves, why would Warner Brothers Discovery leak out information to wrestling news reporters? Why would you do that? For what? For one wrestling show compared to everything else that Warner Brothers Discovery does on multiple channels? Let's leak it out to dirt sheet writer number 3. It's a lie. It's a lie. Even if they were wrestling fans, they would not fucking jeopardize their executive positions by giving dirt sheet guy, I saw this inside memo. Guess what? There's probably a ton of investors. Oh, really, Dave? You saw something inside? Tell me more. You don't have to be like a scholar like figure this stuff out. Just use common sense. You use even the Jacob Fatu stuff. Somebody super chatted us earlier, $20. It was 2 days ago and it didn't pop up. I think it was Mike T. Thank you, Mike. It was so early that it didn't pop up today. And he said, DT, props to you and Kev for getting everything right about Jacob Fatu. Guys, we didn't have any massive sources backstage. We asked a few people, that we're friends with, did you hear anything about Jacob Fatu the night of SummerSlam? They were there. Hey, he was in the back. He left. And we went on the show that Monday and we said, guys, if Jacob Fatu legitimately got injured, they would have rushed him to get an MRI. They would have rushed him to get an X-ray. You don't have him pop up in a deli 2 hours later with Solo Sikoa and a pair of twin fans taking pictures saying, Roman, you're next. Just use common sense. If Jacob Fatu was that injured or concerning, Jacob, put a walking boot on. We don't know if it's broken. We don't know if it's fractured. We don't know if you tore anything. Just put the walking boot on. Do whatever you want to do. Go fucking hop on a pogo stick if you want. Just go home and we'll check it out tomorrow. Just use common sense. It makes no sense at all. We want Zilla Fatu. Zilla Fatu, I think, will be there. I think it's a little too soon. You don't want to roll the dice with too many Fatus, with too many Samoans right now. You got your nucleus now. Obviously, Tangaloa is, look, if you're going to go food chain, bloodline, you're going to take all the members of the bloodline, from Roman Reigns to the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, downwards. Roman Reigns, Tangaloa. Leave it at that. We don't need no more Fatus, Zamus, Samus, Blabus. Build on what you got now. Roman got his ass kicked. Now family has to come in. Now the Usos need to return. Then we see where that goes. Then let's see how The Rock gets involved with this down the line. I don't even know if Hikuleu is needed right now. I don't even know if they're needed right now. Maybe. But I think they set the stage. They've invested in Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, Solo Sikoa, those four. You got Roman Reigns and the Usos. They're one person short. Will that fourth person be The Rock? Will it be Hikuleu? Will it be maybe you could have Hikuleu come out, be the first person to make a save for Roman Reigns. You could have Sami Zayn fit that role. Sammy's the only non-bloodline member. Sami Zayn could fit that role. I think most people would be fine with that. And Kev is the one that brought that up months ago. Roman, Uso, Sammy versus Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tonga, Tangaloa. Dog, when are we uploading the follow-up of Bully Ray versus DTKC? I think we did already. I think that's already been posted. It's posted on Patreon. I didn't post it publicly because it's water under the bridge. And, of course, I don't like Dave LaGreca. Not personally, and it's nothing personal. But, there's no reason to rehash old wounds. There's no issues between us and Bully Ray anymore. I think Bully Ray does a kick-ass job on Busted Open. I think Mark Henry does a good job, even though Mark Henry said some really stupid stuff this weekend. Mark Henry really put his foot in his mouth about Vince McMahon. I don't know if you all saw it, but Kevin and I will be talking about it tomorrow. Tristan wants my thoughts on the Booker T. Kurt Angle, I Want Your Wife storyline. It was stupid. I don't think enough people cared. People are just throwing shit on the wall trying to make it stick. At that time, Kurt Angle's personal relationships were public. You had obviously Booker T and Queen Shamel, their relationship was public. a lot of relationships were really public at the time. Even Jeff Jarrett, to an extent, with his wife, Bobby Lashley, and was it Crystal Marshall? I still never forget. Does anybody remember when Bobby Lashley went on his website? I know, Kevin, I have that retro episode. Bobby Lashley used to have a website. And if I remember correctly, when Bobby Lashley got released from the WWE, I think Crystal Marshall got released, and I think Bobby followed. And then Bobby threatened to tell the world about something. And I don't think it was ever told. I got to look it up, but I do remember that clearly, that he posted on a website that the truth will come out, that something was going to be revealed. I think it was about Vince McMahon too, but nothing came out. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that it didn't, because obviously there was anger at the time, and, you know, it probably would have not helped, you know, Bobby Lashley's cause. Roderick would like to know, how high do I see the Lucha Bros ceiling in the WWE? Very high. A lot of people still believe that Dragon Lee is the future in the WWE. I personally think that Dragon Lee will never become a major single star as long as Rey Mysterio is still active on the roster, because if I have McDonald's and Burger King in my neighborhood, and just for the sake of things, my favorite is McDonald's, and let's rename McDonald's Mysterios. I'm going to get a Big Mac from Mysterios. And then instead of Burger King, we'll call it Burger Lee. Mysterios is closed today. All right, I'll go get a Whopper. Like, every day of the week, if it was up to me, I'd go to Mysterios. The only reason why I go to Burger Lee, is because Mysterios is closed. So as long as Rey Mysterio is still on the active roster, fans are going to choose Rey over Dragon Lee. He could give the rub to Dragon Lee. He could pass the torch to Dragon Lee. He could fucking baptize Dragon Lee's baby. He could have Dragon Lee's baby. He could have Dominic Mysterio get the shit knocked out of him from Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee could dive off the Empire State Building. As long as Rey Mysterio is still on that active roster, Dragon Lee will not be on a major superstar status. Just the facts. Rey could come out there and cut a promo every time. He could say, "I no longer wrestle. I am the manager for Dragon Lee." Still won't matter. The Lucha Bros, I don't want to see them in NXT because of outside of Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Like, there's a few people that are okay in NXT, but I don't want to see the Lucha Bros going at it against Chase University, Hank and Tank, and some others there. I think they go to the main roster. I think they go up against Legado, or if you're going to bring them in as heels, you could put them on Raw and have them go up against others. You could have them, they definitely have a high ceiling. I think, we'll see what happens. I don't think they should go for gold right away. I think they need to get over with the fans first. Kevin Milwaukee with a comment. He tunes into pro wrestling for suspension of disbelief, and just the opposite, tunes into the sit down and the DTKC show because he knows he's getting the truth every single time. Well, we both watch wrestling for suspension of disbelief too, but you have to use common sense sometimes. The difference between us and your Busted Opens, with all due respect, and the Sam Roberts, and even the Peter Rosenbergs to an extent, they'll all go on their podcast the next day and say, man, Jacob Fatu, he fucked up Roman Reigns. Man, Roman Reigns, did you see his eyes? That motherfucker he's probably in a hospital right now. Jacob Fatu just destroyed him. And they'll act as if it really happened. Of course, we come up there and like, wow, that was badass what Jacob Fatu did. But we know, we're watching a movie. Like if Michael Myers kills someone in a Halloween movie, if he fucking kills Jamie Lee Curtis, finally, not going to go on a podcast go like, yo, did you hear what happened last night? Fucking Michael Myers, he fucking killed Jamie Lee Curtis. That motherfucker should go to jail. How come nobody's arresting him right now? That's what Busted Open would do. More specifically, Dave LaGreca. Motherfucking Michael Myers, you prick. What are we going to do? Why isn't this guy not in jail yet? T. Smitty. What's up, D. Smitty? Could Jimmy screw the Bloodline 2.0? Let me make this official. Could Jimmy screw the Bloodline 2.0? Out of the tag titles next week, WWE's repeatedly told us it's been 3 years since the Street Profits won the tag titles. As of right now, I want to see the Street Profits win. It's time. And guess what? They have gotten no push recently at all. Getting a win here and there is not a push. They come out and win those fucking tag titles out of nowhere. People forget of how they were used, for the most part, the last 2 years. That's how you fix the Street Profits like that. You thought that's how they fixed DIY. Because DIY, if people really paid close attention, DIY, there was issues. They were having decent matches, but there was issues. Then suddenly they put on a banger of a match, won the tag titles, and everybody's like, oh, they finally did right for DIY. And some of us were like, well, the Bloodline, Cleveland, if you could have the DIY lose, you got to do it in Cleveland. It'll feel even worse because it's Clevelandites there. Think of Drew McIntyre Clash at the Castle, Scotland. And then they lost it in Cleveland, and people were like, you motherfucker Triple H, God damn you. You used them as transitional champions to get the Bloodline over. How dare you do that? How dare he be a wrestling promoter telling a story? So you fix the Street Profits for now like that, just by putting the titles on them. Yeah, I think Jimmy Uso absolutely could screw them next week. I personally think you need more than one. I'd like to see Jimmy and Jay both come out, screw them both, because remember, there's going to be 3 people there. Tongaloa will be outside the ring. Yeah, that's so funny when people are like, oh, Tongaloa, he's got the belt. He's the champion. No, they just had him come out there holding the belt because they didn't want one person walking out there with titleist. Because Jacob Fatu wasn't there. Oh, Freebird rules. Freebird my ass. Freebird my ass. Freebird rule. They don't do Freebird rules anymore ever since New Day dropped the titles where Big E got unfortunately injured. They don't do that no more. It's because it's 3 people in a faction. What, Blair Davenport going to be defending an unholy title now because they're part of a faction? No, I definitely see Jimmy screwed. Listen, we thought the Usos were going to screw the Bloodline before they won the tag titles, because why would you let them win? Why did the Usos sit back and let the Bloodline 2.0 become tag champs? Remember, they took out Jimmy. They didn't touch Jay, so Jay really has no reason right now, but they hurt Jimmy. So Jimmy, absolutely, but I'd like to see Jay back with him. I think the fans will lose their shit if Jimmy and Jay come out. But I could see Jimmy coming out of nowhere, super kicking Tama Tonga, running through the crowd, and you have Corey Graves like, that was Jimmy Uso. And he goes up through the crowd, and next thing you know, maybe you could even have Jacob Fatu run after Jimmy Uso. Walking boot and all. No, No walking boot. Jacob Fatu, no walking boot Friday. You got Jacob Fatu going after Jimmy Uso, leaving Tama Tonga in the ring for himself. Or Roman Reigns could come out there and hit a Superman punch on Tama Tonga. The problem with that? Instant disqualification. Referee cannot see Jimmy Uso hit a super kick. It's got to be all done with the referee not looking. Plus, you got to think about Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa should be at ringside as well. So it gets a little complicated. Now you got 4 guys. And you only got to have an Us. I know you got the Street Profits there, but still, very one-sided. All right. Let's start winding this down a little bit, because right after this, I have to record the Daily News Update, which will be up late tonight for everybody. We have a decent amount of wrestling news to get into, some results as well. We'll preview Raw and a few other things going on. So that Daily News Update will be up late tonight, all the platforms. And Monday, DTKC show, 11:15 p.m. DeMarcus, what's up, DeMarcus? Thank you for the 5-spot, brother. Andrade and Carmelo are seemingly in the midst of a feud on SmackDown that the fans care about. Love to see it. A lot of people want to see best of 7. Problem is, you already had 3 matches. That's the problem. It's like, you can't do a best of 7 after like 3 matches, because now you really, somebody's up 2-1, and you're going to do a best of 7 with somebody already up 2-1. So I think what you can do is some type of an added stipulation. I wouldn't go Iron Man, because I don't think fans care enough to go 30 minutes with them or an hour with them. But you can do 2 out of 3 falls or something with some type of a stipulation attached to it. I wish they would have done a best of 7 sooner. You know, you could have had the first match end in a no contest. Then you could have had, you know, maybe the second match, let it be 1-1. But I'm liking it, and the fans are enjoying it. Carmelo Hayes obviously needs to come out on top of this. And I think we said it earlier this week that Carmelo Hayes needed to win on SmackDown, and he did, which was the right way to go. You know, keep in mind AJ Styles. That was a topic from this morning's report. People are starting to get a little nervous about AJ Styles not being on SmackDown. Word around the campfire is that AJ Styles may be feuding with Andrade next. Some people even think that they may revisit LA Knight and AJ Styles now with LA Knight as United States champion. So, you know, if they decide to go Andrade, AJ Styles, well, you got to finish up with Carmelo Hayes first. So, but I'm liking it. I mean, when you hear the crowd chanting, "This is awesome," every time they have a match, you know they got something special. They definitely have something special. But I agree with you. I mean, they definitely need to continue it. But I think it's pay-per-view worthy. Would you do it at Bash at Berlin? That's kind of rough, because there's other matches that people want to see first. I don't want it to be like, it's the current SmackDown tradition, Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. I don't want it every single week, because then if one doesn't top the other and one of the matches kind of like falls flat, and then you're left with like, oh, you know, they kind of like rolled the dice one too many times. So do one more match, stipulation involved, and that's it. The problem with Charlotte getting involved with this is you don't have somebody on the side of Melo. And I don't know, I'm not 100% convinced that Charlotte Flair will be back on SmackDown. I almost feel like Charlotte Flair may have to feud with Rhea Ripley. You know, what's next for Rhea Ripley after Liv Morgan? I don't want them feuding into the end of the year. You know, I think something needs to happen beforehand, and I think WWE is also trying to avoid Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair having some, you know, path with each other. So maybe you have Charlotte Flair on Raw, and down the line, you could always do a trade. That trade, listen, 2025, some of you will remember this. I'm not the only one to take credit for this. How many of you remember when I said 2024 will be the year of the contract? Be the year of the contract. And we've seen a lot of contracts being done. Some jumping ship, some not. 2025 is going to be the year of the trade with WWE. Because if you've not paid attention, WWE, you're either a hip-hop artist, a social media influencer, or a athlete. If you're one of those three, Triple H will spit water next to you. If you are a social media influencer, you could be Dirtbag Dick from Texas and have 9 million viewers, as long as you're not Clan. If you have fucking a big social media influence, you best damn believe WWE will figure out a way to have you get involved in some way, shape, or form. If you are a hip hop artist, you could literally say, I like salami. 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 I like. You could have the dumbest lyrics around. If you have any type of success, you'll be a theme song on an NXT pay-per-view. If you're an athlete, they will have you sitting front row. My point, WWE has showed us athletes from boxing, basketball, baseball, MMA, other sports, Olympics, and they've done that before. But now they go over the top, and it's like almost every show, there's somebody sitting front row representing some sports athlete somewhere, and like, oh, look, that's so-and-so. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is. So they will have that sports aspect of that trade element really in full force in 2025. We may see a trade this year too, but you will see Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis get involved in trade. You could even start now. From now for the next 12 months, WWE is going to be the year of the trade for the next 12 months because it happens in everyday sports. It happens in basketball, baseball, football. It doesn't happen in boxing, but it happens in a lot of different sports. Hockey, trades happen all the time. You will see trades happen quite often. You mark my words. Puffy 89. He's currently watching NXT Brooklyn 4 while having me in his ear. Is a guy looking like Kevin in the front row with a DTKC shirt? Was that him by chance? No. NXT Brooklyn. Was that? I think that was Adam. I think that was Adam. Thank you, DeMarcus. Not trying to like skip you over. I don't know if that was Adam Allen. Trying to remember right now. I don't remember which event it was. I thought it was Florida. No, it was Brooklyn. Do you see cosplay? Do you see a girl dressed like me with a cigar in her mouth? You gotta. I don't have the pictures here. I will look tonight and I will verify. But that, if it's who I believe it is, those are very good friends of the show. And they were cosplaying Kevin, myself, and they were sitting front row, and it was a big deal at the time. I got to look it up. I don't have pictures with me right now. I was trying to see if I had anything handy. Kevin and I posted them not too long ago, too. I got to look it up. Unfortunately, I'm looking a little bit more. It's not easy to do it live, but I don't believe I have them. Oh, I found some gems. But no, I don't have the cosplay ones. And I don't even know if that's the event. I think it is, though. And if it is, yeah, I got to look. I'll let you know by tomorrow. If it is, Kevin and I will show pictures tomorrow, too. Thank you, Puffy, for that. Thank you. All right. Where are we at? We're at 9:45. We're an hour and 44 minutes in. Let's, maybe we'll finish this in like 15 minutes. This way I'll get this online, and then I could get the daily news update online as well, so everybody could download that. And then Monday after Raw, Kevin and I will be live again. Then Tuesday I'll be on Patreon. And then we got to figure out this week. A lot of you want me to do predictions for All In. I don't know if Kevin wants to do predictions. I don't want to put him on the spot either. So I may do a special episode Wednesday after Dynamite, because they're going to add additional matches at Dynamite. So maybe Wednesday night or Thursday night, I'll do a special episode and we'll do some predictions for All In. Maybe we'll make that part of the daily news update. So, all right. Michael's asked, do I have more of the retro footage from last week? I didn't get a chance because I had to go to an impromptu funeral wake on Friday. So I didn't get a chance to try to like put everything together. I will. I mean, it's not going anywhere. There is an audio glitch that I have to literally like splice two clips together in order and, mix it together and sync it up. But yeah, in the very near future, we'll be playing that. Benjamin says, how silly did Will Ospreay look saying he's going to kick MJF's ass and then say we're going to sing songs? I can't criticize Will Ospreay, not because I'm afraid to. I mean, to me, he's kind of like, I think he ends up being like the Shawn Michaels of AEW. Like, that's like Mr. Reliable that will put on like a great match regardless of who he faces. He's got charisma. He's got a connection with the fans. The guy could work in the ring. The guy seems to adapt to, the offense of his opponent. I think Will Ospreay definitely, no joke. I really believe this. I'm not just saying it to kiss ass. Put it this way, because this thumbnail just happens to still be in my computer. Out of Mercedes Moné, Okada, Will Ospreay, Jay White, Shibata, whoever you want to put in there, I honestly think Will Ospreay has been the best investment that Tony Khan has made out of all of them. Even though Mercedes Moné is a very big name with a big following, and Mercedes Moné is talented. I mean, look, forget the lisp, forget, the bad promos, forget, lack of filter. She still obviously is a major player in wrestling. Otherwise, she would not have gotten the matches she did in the WWE. She is a major player. It's just like, it's like Ben Affleck. What was that movie? Was it called Julia? What was that movie that everybody always talks about to this day? What was it, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez? Was that the movie? I never saw it. But for some reason, it sucked so bad that everybody always brought up that movie. What was that movie? Somebody will figure it out. I think it's called Julia, ironically. Something like that. My point is, you could have a great actor. Jiggling, baby. Jiggly. I'd never seen it. I'd never see it. I'd rather sit and watch the best of QT Marshall all night long than watch Jiggly. What does that go to show you? You could have a great actor or a great actress in a bad fucking movie. If it's a bad movie, it doesn't matter who's in it. That's kind of like Mercedes Moné right now. I think Will Ospreay has been the best investment that Tony Khan has made. out of all of the big names that he assigned, even Adam Copeland, even if Adam Copeland didn't break his leg, I think out of all the signings, I think he's got his best return on Will Ospreay. So Will Ospreay saying some goofy shit, I kind of let it go because he actually is doing pretty good in AEW. I mean, I can't criticize it that much. You know what I mean? And I think most people will agree with me. Out of everybody that Tony Khan has signed in the last 2 years, I think Will Ospreay, and look, MJF obviously, but MJF re-signed with AEW last year. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The only reason why they try to tell you otherwise is because they don't know the answer themselves. He re-upped last year. There was never a doubt of MJF in AEW. But putting him aside, Will Ospreay's been the best signing they've had, and it's not even close. If you ever see those photos or those tweets some people put, they'll put like 4 pictures. It'll be like Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Ric Flair. Erase one from memory. You ever see those? If you put Mercedes Moné, Jay White, Will Ospreay, Okada, and erase 3 from AEW memory, I honestly think close to 100% of AEW fans would keep Ospreay out of all 4. You'd only keep one. I think they would be like, go back to Japan, go back to Boston, and go back to wherever Jay White came from. You know, I'm just saying, like, I think almost 100% of the fans would choose to keep Will Ospreay out of all of them. I have no issue if Shane McMahon signs with AEW. I do think that Tony Khan would like to see kind of like a King of the Ring match recreated. Maybe Shane McMahon versus Moxley or Shane McMahon versus somebody. I think they want to see Shane McMahon take a crazy ass bump like he did in WWE. I think they want to see him bleed. I think Shane McMahon wants to do it. I think Shane McMahon wants to have another hardcore match. I just wish that they could have gotten his music. That would be pretty bizarre to hear, "Here comes the money." That'd be pretty bizarre to have that play in WWE, in AEW. I don't know if I would want to see Shane McMahon versus Darby Allin. Just because Darby fights that style, I don't know if I actually would want to see that. You know, I was thinking the other day, it's a shame how many people forgot that Shane McMahon fucking almost died in the ocean in New York a few years ago. I mean, I watched all the footage and all the press about Shane McMahon meeting with Tony Khan over the last month. I didn't see one person bring up from not too long ago where Shane McMahon fucking almost died in the ocean in Long Island. I think it was in Long Island that it happened. If you don't know that story or you forgot about it, Google it. I mean, just that story alone is why Shane McMahon, I can't criticize him. .316 MMA. Can I explain why there's no love for Liv? I'm not trying to insult you. I think almost everybody in this chat loves Liv. I don't think anybody has an issue with Liv Morgan right now. I think Liv is doing a spectacular job. Liv, you know, when we did a poll like 2 weeks ago, Liv Morgan or Rhea Ripley, if you had the opportunity for FanFest, let's keep it innocent. For FanFest, you can hang out with one of the two. Almost everybody chose Liv Morgan. A lot of people, this is not a knock on Rhea Ripley. A lot of people think Liv Morgan is hotter than Rhea Ripley. A lot of people think in storyline, Dominic is a fucking babyface. Dominic in storyline got Rhea. Now he's got Liv. Like, how do you criticize that? Nobody's criticizing Liv Morgan. Nobody is questioning it. Nobody's questioning it at all. Dog, I didn't forget about you. But yeah, we can bring this up now. Thoughts on Jeff Jarrett trying to bring back Global Force Wrestling? Oh, God, no. No. There's not enough people for it to have its own identity. Global Force Wrestling, that was funny when we covered it back in the day. It's just, listen, I get it. Jeff Jarrett wants the piece of the pie. Jeff Jarrett sees the crazy-ass momentum WWE has right now. He also sees that he just did, AAA, right? And he sees the kind of turnout those events are getting. He sees that there's money to be made. The problem is, even like Scott D'Amore's promotion in Canada. I know Scott D'Amore is bringing back Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. It's got a crazy, awesome history in Canada. But when I saw his first card and I see Jinder Mahal and I see Cameron Grimes and I see like that, and I'm like, you're starting your promotion and this is what you got? It's like, what makes your show any different than any other bullshit indie show out there? So Jeff Jarrett, he thinks he can get a piece of the pie out of it. The problem is they tried to do an angle in TNA with Dixie Carter and it failed miserably. There's not enough players out there where he could create his own identity. If he brings back Global Force Wrestling, what are you going to have? You see who's on all the cards out there. What are you going to get? Nick Nemeth? Not a knock on Dolph Ziggler, but what are you going to get? It's going to look like any other indie show out there. There's not going to be any. Listen, there's no crop of wrestlers. What's that island in the Middle East? Someone in the chat will know, because you guys are some of the most educated people I've ever come across, and I'm not pandering. What's the name of that island that you're not allowed to go to by boat, and there's just nothing but savages on it? And some people have tried to like give them coconuts and stuff like that. And like they used to be able to go in peace, and then they'd be like, "Yeah, come here. And then you go on the island and then they just fucking kill you with spears. They just kill you. They're just savages. It is off limits. You're not allowed to go anywhere near that island. There are people living on it that are from like 5,000 years ago. They don't know. They don't have a language. They don't have clothes. It's in the Middle East. It's totally off limits. You're not allowed to go anywhere near it. Sentinel Island. Thank you, Benjamin. North Sentinel Island. Go look that up, guys. If you've never seen the stories before, it is outrageously fascinating. Go on YouTube and watch some of the videos. There was a guy, we come in peace. They don't understand what the fuck you're doing. They thought it was going to be an episode of Star Trek. Look, 1 coconut, 2 coconuts, 3 coconuts, and they're taking the coconuts, and they're like, oh, look, we're making friends. Pew, 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 pew. Spear, dead. And they dug holes. Sentinel Island. Jeff, there ain't no Sentinel Island with a whole bunch of wrestlers on there going, drop kick. There's no crop of wrestlers on a desert island that nobody's been to before. Like, oh, look. Oh, my God, we got the next Goldberg. We got the next Lashley. We got the next Hulk Hogan. Brother. There's no crop of wrestlers out there just waiting to be had. Everybody's using them. Jeff Jarrett's not going to be able to, he's going to have no identity. It's just Jeff Jarrett saying, you know what? And this is how sad some people are. And this goes back to what I said at the very beginning of the show about Queen of the Indies. I'm going to give you the results tonight on the Daily News Update. Muda's daughter wrestled for the first time in the United States. She wrestled in front of 80 people. I saw it and I'm like, that is awful turnout. my point is, some people out there with these wrestling promotions that draw 40, their mindset is, if I made $10, it's $10 more than I had yesterday. Like, they make nothing. They make almost nothing. And Jeff Jarrett, what kind of money is he going to make? Seriously. And you know what's funny too? If I remember correctly, I don't know if it was Queen of the Indies or TripleMania. I think it was Queen of the Indies. Some of the tickets were $100 a seat. I'm pretty freaking sure it was Queen of the Indies. I think it was $100 a seat for front row. And it was like, tickets are still available. $100, $80, $40, $30. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder why only 80 people showed up. Who the fuck's going to pay $100? So what's Jeff going to do? He's going to draw 400, and the main event's going to be Raj Desi, the former Jinder Mahal, however you pronounce his name, versus Nick Nemeth. Or it's going to be, oh, look, the former Jinder Mahal versus Satnam Singh. Oh, look, there's a run-in from Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal. And look, my wife is there. They're like, what are you going to make? $100? $1,000? $2,000? Ain't going to work, man. Ain't going to work. Not going to work. Speaking of Karen, look at this. I didn't even see this. Dog, Karen needs the attention. Should she go to the AWE? AWE, what is that? Axe Wrestling Entertainment? We should send her to Sentinel Island, seriously. I could picture her like dancing like Marianne in Gilligan's Island, like put on that hula music and she's dancing and they're like looking at her like this, and they still spears. What promotion? AEW? Karen's already in AEW. Karen needs to see, she's older now, so you can't even say Karen should stay home and have babies because she's older now. Like, listen, I used to rag on Karen Jarrett. Karen Jarrett was the brunt of some of my hokey raps from back in the day. I can't criticize her anymore. You know why? This is me being serious for a minute. I mean, I know we kind of have fun on these shows and I go a little bit over the top, but I'm being serious for a minute. Karen Jarrett, I wouldn't say to the level of what Giovanna Angle did for Kurt, but Karen Jarrett really helped Jeff go through his alcoholism. And I know that's a very personal story, but they made it public, not us. I heard from a decent number of people, like, especially when we used to rag on Karen Jarrett, some people used to say to me, like, DT, maybe you shouldn't be so hard on Karen Jarrett. She's really, really trying and helping, her husband get through some really, really horrible dark times. And, when Jeff celebrates being sober, she is there really, really helping him. So even though we crack jokes and have fun on these shows, you could the difference between, just having some lighthearted fun and being serious. She actually, and listen, as wrestling fans, I know this sounds kind of like bad, and it should. Like, I don't want to watch her on TV because she's a good person. I want to watch her on TV because I'm entertained. Like, for me on TV, Karen Jarrett getting her ass kicked entertains me. I don't want to see somebody on TV simply because they're a good person. They help somebody through rough times. What I'm saying is that, I can't criticize her personally because she has really helped him. And who'd have ever thought 2-3 years ago? Who'd have ever thought 2-3 years ago that Jeff Jarrett would be this much on TV? For some people, he shouldn't be on TV this much. 2-3 years ago, when he showed up in WWE and did the strut, it was like bizarre. I was like, holy shit. I never thought in a million years Jeff Jarrett would be in a WWE ring again. Then he was fired. Then he was gone. And then he shows up in AEW doing events behind the scenes. And then you hear a lot of positive stuff coming out of that camp. So even though Jeff Jarrett is not my cup of tea watching wrestling in 2024, he's not that grizzled veteran like Terry Funk was and others that, you know what, I like seeing a veteran a little bit more, or Sting or somebody like that. You know, I don't feel that way about Jeff Jarrett, but she did a lot of good behind the scenes. So even though she plays the character she plays on TV, there's obviously a lot more than that. Back in the day, I felt that a lot of the character you saw on TV reflected the person outside. And I think that's why we kind of disliked her even more. Now it's the total difference. Kevin says that Karen peaked when she took on Aubrey Edwards. Listen, she's there. You know the impression I get from her right now in 2024? She's there having fun. Like, there's a little bit of a paycheck, obviously, but it seems like she's legitimately having fun. I mean, I don't know her personally. I don't think I'll ever speak to her personally, but she comes off as somebody having fun. Maybe someone that I'm friends with out there that knows her personally wants to, let me know if I'm on the right track. Sometimes you could see people on TV and you could feel if they're having fun. Cornel J, welcome to the family. Just subscribed. Much love. So, Gruss says AEW needs Vince Russo. Needs him for what? They don't need Vince Russo. They don't need Eric Bischoff. They don't need Jim Cornette. They don't need any of those guys because their mindset would be totally different than what AEW has. What they need is people that have a similar mindset with AEW, but also, how do I explain this? AEW has a certain foundation. We've talked about that before. You're not going to change. Listen, I'm a big fan of Cornette's podcast. I'm a big fan of Vince Russo's podcast. I actually do enjoy a lot of Bischoff's podcasts, even though now 90% of them are all, they look like this. I don't know if I have it here. Yeah, trust me, this is worth it if I have the picture here. All his podcasts now look like this. Let me see if I got it. I think I do. I do. Hey, I do. No, just happened. I always keep my wedding picture in the background, just. Oh, and by the way, did anybody see earlier? Look, David Benoit was at TripleMania yesterday. All of his pictures. Now, this one happens to be about WCW, but all his pictures are about AEW, and it's his face looking down. He's like, Tony, you suck. Tony, you're a failure. Tony, you ruined AEW. Honestly, my friends, this is not to make fun of Eric Bischoff. You have to look on your face like that when your pet passes away, when your wife or your husband leaves you, when you found out that you got diagnosed with lymphoma. You don't look down like that because fucking David Flair was in your company. David Flair goes to his grandchildren right now and say, kids, you wouldn't believe the fucking money I got paid and I sucked. He didn't let nobody down. David Flair sucked in the ring, but guy got so much exposure. If I'm David Flair, I write a book when I'm 50, 60, 70, whatever it is. David Flair stepped in shit. This guy's looking down like somebody just tragically died. I don't do that. But here's my point. I'm a fan of their shows for the most part. But the thing is this, when you hear Jim Cornette and Brian Last say, somebody needs to take the helm from Tony and Tony needs to, he's got too much on his plate. Or someone will say like, Tony is just this petulant rich child and he needs to realize blah, 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 blah. Tony Khan knows exactly what the fuck AEW is. You're not going to change the foundation of why AEW is in existence. AEW is in existence because it's fulfilling Tony Khan's dream of being a wrestling promoter and putting on a wrestling platform for fans to enjoy. It's like somebody that opens up a restaurant and gives out mostly free food to everybody. Or guess what, everybody? Look, cheeseburgers, $3.99. Look at everybody having burgers. But Tony, you're not making any money on the hamburgers. But you know what? I'm selling hamburgers and everybody's coming over. Yay. You're not going to change that. These guys are offering all their opinions. They're like, Tony, you really need to stop that. You're a failure. You're this. It's not a failure. He's just not in the business because of why we think somebody should be in the business. Dixie Carter, she had to try to make money because her family was like, Dixie, this ain't no never-ending well. We got Arabs buying tons of gallons of oils from our company, but guess what? We don't have that much oil. If you don't start turning a profit, you're out of here. We're pulling your allowance, Dixie. You look at Vince McMahon, he had to answer to stockholders and shareholders. You look at Eric Bischoff, he had to answer to Turner and the networks and all the owners of the companies. Tony Khan doesn't need to answer to anybody. These people keep coming up with all these ideas of why this needs to change and this needs to change and this needs to happen and Tony needs to do this. Why? Tony ain't going to do any of that because Tony Khan is running his ship the way he wants. If I want to walk around with holes in my jeans, somebody's like, man, he's such a good-looking guy, but he dresses fucking awful. If you just put on some deodorant, put on a nice-looking shirt and stop wearing torn jeans, he might be able to get laid. Well, guess what? Maybe he's happy walking around with torn jeans and no deodorant. Maybe that's what makes him happy. Like, DTKC, why do you guys not have sponsors? You could be making so much more money, you have sponsors. Well, maybe because we don't want to. By the way, had you tried Blue Chew lately? By the way, guys, after this show's over, I'm going to pour myself a bowl of Magic Spoon. No, we don't want to do that. Stop trying to tell Tony Khan to run the business the way you do. What you got to do is you got to try to come up with ideas that Tony would be like, yeah, oh my God, pigs can fly. Like, you got to come up with ideas that fall in line with that thinking. That's what it is. That's the answer to AEW. AEW is never going to live up to its potential because it's not being used to its potential. Just like people, listen, I'll be man enough to admit it. People say to me to this day, you and Kev should be so much more successful in doing this. And you guys, you're set in your ways and you do this. And, if you only did this, if you only did that. And some of them are probably right. But we have a certain style and we have a certain momentum and a certain repetitiveness and a certain style that we enjoy. And we're happy and we're having fun right now. It sucks, to do a show and how much money we make? Oh, we made $7.37. Can't even buy a coffee with that. Not saying it for sympathy, but I'm just saying that comes with the territory. Stop trying to tell Tony how to change his company. Give him ideas that fall in line with their mindset. Give him ideas that actually, I think that would be a great idea. And that's how you improve AEW. AEW does not need Vince Russo or Eric Bischoff or Jim Cornette or anybody else that's available. VJ is asking, any chance we see Mike Tyson back in the WWE for a stint? Sure, why not? I saw a picture of Mike Tyson with Butterbean. And they had a picture from 2017 and now. I think Paige, Diamond Dallas Page posted it today. And he's been helping Butterbean get in better shape. Very cool. Very cool. If you want to see a cool picture, go online. Go check it out. Thank you, Mo Words, for the kind words. Listen, I know what I say is not going to get to Tony's table. But, a lot of you out there, I think, agree with what I'm saying. And if you disagree, I respect that. I mean, that's the cool thing about what Kevin and I do. A lot of you disagree with a lot of things that we say on the shows, and that's fine. There's a lot of people that still hate my guts because I'm convinced that the story was never changing with Cody Rhodes. You have to be an old fart like Kevin and I to understand it a little bit more. Because if you lived through Dusty, if you lived through the early years of Dusty and how he became NWA World Champion for a couple of weeks, and you understand all the little storylines and nuances, the little twists and turns, and how Dusty used to react to fans and how Dusty used to say certain things, and Dusty would get over in different ways. And when Dusty would make promises to local towns and everything, you know, and that was done by design leading up to a particular moment. And you see Cody doing the very same thing. Sorry, when you see that for 13 months, there's nobody is going to say to me, TKO Group Holding just bought the company and they're building to Cody versus Roman, and then Rock becomes available and Ari Emanuel is like, Triple H, Nick Khan, forget everything. No. Wayne became available. Oh, okay, we'll figure it out. Let me talk to Cody. Oh, by the way, let's record it. Let's show everybody on video. Let me do that. Let's make sure the bottles of alcohol are in the right way of the camera. Make everything look perfect because it's real. You know, you got to be old to see that. Old people saw it. We saw it. Younger fans, I don't criticize them for not seeing it. You grow up, you see little things about John Cena. You grow up, you see little things about Daniel Bryan. You grow up and you see things about people today. 10, 20 years ago, or 10, 20 years from now, when you see someone else, especially if they're related to one of those guys, and you see WWE recreating something, you spot little things that most people out there don't, or you get goofballs like Dave LaGreca be like, no, no. You'll see it. And there'll become a time you'll be like, you know what? I remember when they did that with so-and-so. And most people will be like, what are you talking about? Because they're younger fans and they didn't go through it. That's all it is. Ralph says he hopes I'm making money off the stream and must have seen 20 commercials. Honestly, I have the commercials set to very, very low. And I could set them where they go off like every 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I don't even have it that strict. I'm a little surprised. I mean, I have it set to very, very low. And I got to look. I mean, I didn't do anything different today. I don't ever when I play the replay, I usually try to spread them out every 25 to 30 minutes. Listen, trust me, guys, I'll show you screenshots. If I could share my screen right now, I'll show you. Some of the episodes we do here, outside of Super Chats, obviously, for ad revenue, we make like $5. I'm not kidding. And I'm not saying it for sympathy. I'm just saying, like, if I'm making $5, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to make them watch 75 commercials so I can make $8 instead of $5. Because you know what's going to happen? Even though some people may end up paying more for commercials, there's going to be other people like, fuck this show. I ain't fucking watching a commercial every 5 minutes. So I purposely, after the shows are over, I go in there and I put it every 30 minutes around because I don't want it flooded with stuff. Even now with the daily news updates, I try to spread them out. Maybe like one, if the show's under 30 minutes, there'll be one break in the middle, and that's it. Or if the show's over 30 minutes, there'll be a break at like 12 minutes and a break at like 24 minutes, and that's it. I try to do that specifically because I don't want anybody to feel like, motherfucker, 98 commercials. God, I might as well just sell Magic Spoon and fucking overdose on Blue Chew here. And literally, I'd be like, hey, this is brought to you by Blue Chew. Yo, you want a salami like this? Get a Blue Chew. I don't want to do that. Why do I have a salami? This is hard. This is cement. You kill somebody with that. Puffy says that I was the reason why he got YouTube Premium. Very cool, man. I have YouTube Premium. I like watching like stuff at night and not be bombarded with commercials. Let me tell you something. we'll start bringing this home. We ended up going late. We'll go another 10 minutes. We don't have to like end it so early. You guys are convincing me to like stay on Sunday nights, but the thing is, it's still kind of early. But the whole idea is to finish earlier. That's why the Patreon shows now are at 8:30 at night. So this way I get a decent. So I got to get more sleep. I'm getting too old. It's starting to affect me. But my wife watches a woman. I don't want to say the name of her channel because I don't want to stir stuff up because she does send questions, and I don't need this. We'll just say her name is Bianca. I don't want to be like, yo, Tanya, the fuck is all this shit? I'm getting all these fucking posts from these people from your husband fucking show. You're making fun of my shit? Making fun of my makeup? What's up with that? What did I do? What did I do? That's how she talks. She does a show. I kid you not. I think I brought this up on Patreon the other day. This is how people make money on YouTube. I kid you not. She's a nice looking woman. She's very attractive. She sits on the screen and 5 days a week, she talks about her life. And she'll talk about gossip. Yo, you hear what happened on you? And as she's talking, she's doing her nails. She's putting on these giant fake eyelashes, putting eyeliner on, and she talks for like 2 hours. And I have YouTube Premium. My wife doesn't use my account. I don't want to use my account. She don't need to see my search history. There's no porn on YouTube. My wife has basic YouTube. So literally, I kid you not, every 5 to 7 minutes, she's like, girl, and then all of a sudden there's a commercial for Kamala Harris, excuse me. Got to be fair. And this woman puts on a commercial like every 5 to 7 minutes. And I think she does it on purpose. She's like, girl, soon as I saw that, I told her to, and all of a sudden it gets interrupted by a commercial. And my wife's like, but the best part is on the weekend, I swear to God, if she hears this right now, no sex for me for a month. At the end of the week, this woman, I swear on God, she sits at a table. You probably could figure out who the channel is. If you do a search for this, you'll probably find it. She sits at a table and she's got a stack of money like this. And most of them are $1 bills. And she's like, all right, everybody, fam, let's figure out the expenses for the week. And she looks and she says, phone, $55, 5, 10, 11, 12, 18, 20. And she counts to 55, puts it on the table. Then she's like, food, $175. Guys, you see how much food has gone up these days? I can't believe it. I don't see anything in sight. 5, 10. She does this for every little thing. And then when she's left over, she's got $167, do whatever I want. And it's 90 minutes later. And I'm like, you just watch that for 90 minutes with commercials like every 10 minutes. And all she's doing is counting money and figuring out her bills. And I'm like, what do you learn from this woman? And she's like, I just find her funny, entertaining. She just has a good vibe. And I slap myself in the head. I'm like, I don't get it. But there's people that do it, man. I'm almost tempted. I swear to God, I'd love to put a channel up here now, but my wife does, and she don't super chat her, thank God. But she does comment. And the funny thing is, I don't remember the story, but she commented about something. And like the girl brushed her off and somebody else commented and it was a super chat. And she spent like 10 minutes answering the question. Listen, I appreciate super chats here. They help pay the bills. I mean, obviously, we got to make fun somewhere, but I will never ignore questions. I mean, sometimes, something passes by, I don't see it after I feel bad, but I answer everybody as much as I can. But this person's channel, unless you grease her palm, she pretty much, or she'll give you a one-word answer. What do you think about so-and-so? I don't like him. And she'll move on. But if you throw a 5 spot, girl, and she'll go on a 5-minute, 10-minute rant about it. Pretty funny. Umar I get to you in a second, Umar. Nixie, I tell you, there's a lot of channels like that on YouTube, man. I still will never get over the Twitch channels. I don't know if they still do them. Maybe you guys know if they still do them. You see the girls that go in the bathtub and they have all the rubber ducks. They're wearing bikinis and they're in the rubber ducks. And like, oh, thank you, Kyle. Just chose a random name. I had Kyle on my thoughts. A lot of you know Kyle is a good friend of the family and going through some rough times right now. One of our patrons and channel members and chat room friends. But we'll just use his name for reference. Like there'll be a girl wearing a bikini on a Twitch channel and she's in a bathtub with a whole bunch of rubber ducks with a magic marker. And somebody will give her $20 and she'll, thank you, Kyle. And she'll draw Kyle's name and throw the rubber ducky in the water. And she does that for 3 hours. By the time she's done, her skin is all shriveled up. It looks like a rotten hot dog. And she's got all these rubber ducks in the water. And I'm like, holy shit, she just made $600. And it's a hot chick wearing a bikini. And they just write names of rubber ducks on rubber ducks and put them in the water. Tyler says his wife does the same shit. I hope you're talking about watching YouTube channels and not in the bathtub with rubber ducks. But I know what you meant. Umar says, what will be the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2? He would love CM Punk to main event Mania, but he can't see it unless he wins the Royal Rumble 2025. I personally think it's way too soon to try to figure this out. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, I think is an absolute must for WrestleMania. I no longer believe it is a main event closeout night one match. I think it would be the next to last match for a night. I do not see CM Punk ending either night of WrestleMania. Rock, Roman Reigns, I think is an absolute lock for WrestleMania 41. Probably night 2. They kind of hinted all along. Last year, biggest WrestleMania tag team match of all time. Remember, at the press conference, before Rock showed all his love for Cody, like at the Hall of Fame and everywhere else, they were showing highlights of WrestleMania 1. I mean, yes, it's the WrestleMania 40, but they were really, really trying to get that tag team frame of mind out there. And sure, Cody was going to finish his story, but the tag team match was the greatest tag team match of all time. Greatest WrestleMania of all time. Next year will be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. So Rock and Roman Reigns, I think, absolutely closes night 2, unless Rock is injured. Larry, you're funny, Larry. Larry sends a 2-spot and says, don't ignore me. Have some more money. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me, damn it. Nah, much love, Larry. Larry is a good friend of the family. You only sent $2. She's not that good at a friend of the family, but I'm fucking with you. I appreciate it. Believe me. When we did, here's legit. I was telling a story this morning about Afa, who passed away. And I was telling a very generous story of him. And believe it or not, I don't think I have it in this room, but I do have it inside handy. And I just happened to have it out about 6 months ago, and I was just too lazy to put it away. I still have a stack of photos that Afa sent me when we raised the money for Conan's surgery. And I was telling the story this morning because Afa had passed away on how generous he was, sending me like 50 autographed photos. And these were not cheap photos. Some of them were the Grand Wizard, autographed Freddie Blassie, Lou Albano and the Grand Wizard, back to back to back. And I'm like, holy shit, I got these all in the mail. And, because it was so public with the drive, like I didn't sneak any for myself. But after the drive was over, I had about 25, 30 photos left over. And I emailed Afa and I said, I still have the email too. I should show you all a screenshot next week. I wrote Pops. I said, where should I send these photos? I said, I have a bunch left over. He said, keep them. And I remember clear as day, like when I responded back, I didn't want to offend him and say, what am I going to do with them? I said, what should I do with them? He said, do whatever you want. Keep them for yourself, give them away, sell them, donate them. He's like, you appreciate what you did. And I always remember, and I've told this story before. I didn't wait until Alpha died. Like Hulk Hogan, oh, me and Alpha, we mended fences, brother. In fact, I just talked to him last week, brother. We were going to go out to go fishing, brother. A lot of people like to do that. After somebody dies, oh, I just got off the phone with him. I remember when Bison Smith died, he emailed me like 3 hours before. And I remember doing a show and people like, you're full of shit. And then I showed it. People like, oh, shit. Yeah, same thing with Georgianne. The night before, we used to play online gambling. We were in tournaments together. We used to do so much online gambling, Georgianne and myself. And the night before, she was emailing me about something. And I said, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night. And she died just out of nowhere. It's just crazy sometimes. But even with Alpha, 81 years old, man. 81 years old. He lived a great fucking life, man. You'd be surprised how many people he taught, how many people he mentored, how many people he schooled. That school that he had when it was on the Northeast, it got a lot of attention. It got a lot of attention. Then they went south to Florida, and it still did its share. That wrestler we paid tribute to a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember his name right now. I mean, it's escaping me. But he was one of the last graduates for Alpha. And I feel bad now that I'm forgetting his name. I'm going to see if I could look it up. Maybe somebody could remember. I don't remember what his in-ring name was. Let me see if I have it here. I probably don't. It would be too long for me to look it up. But if any of you look, he was one of the last graduating students for Alpha. And here we go. Alpha passed away. It's just a shame he died so close to Sika. They died within a month and a half of each other. But Alpha was sick for a long time. Yeah, he trained Mickey Rourke. Listen, he was going to train Nicolas Cage. A lot of people forget Nicolas Cage was going to be the role of the wrestler, and he's like, nah, too much work for me. Tony Khan's going to want me to sign an NDA soon so he could stop mentioning the Big Bang Theory lead-in. Oh, I was ignoring Larry. For some reason, he popped up on my screen. No, I'm only kidding. Larry, much love, much love. Kevin's didn't pop up yet. As I mentioned this too this morning, I always said their name wrong. I always called them Alpha Hanoi. Alpha Hanoi. How many of you are guilty like me that for 10, 20 years, we would say their last name wrong? And for some reason, over the last 2 years, we now say their name right. After all of these years, I always said Alpha Hanoi, the Hanoi family, Sika Hanoi, Alpha Hanoi. Now it's Anawahi. And I'm like, holy shit. In the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, and even the early 2020s, it was the Hanoi family. Now it's Anawahi. I don't understand why I always got it wrong, but even back then. And after a while, he would write Pops. He would write, everybody called him Pops because he was like a father for a lot of wrestlers out there. He was just a really caring person that really, he smiled from ear to ear when some of his wrestlers that he trained were able to sign with other promotions. Very, very cool. Very, very cool person. All right. Listen, Kevin, I'm not trying to say I'm better than Jim Cornette. I'm not. Not even close. But you all have to admit, if you've been around long enough, you know that we were the first people out there mentioning the Big Bang lead-in before anybody else. We were saying it a good 7 to 10 months before anybody else noticed. Because if you remember when we used to do the quarter hours, we used to always do the rating and we would leave out the first quarter and say, it's falsely inflated. It's got a big bang lead in. And sometimes we would leave out the overrun and we would only do 7 quarters. And we were doing that for 7 to 10 months before anybody else started saying, oh, well, the rating without the big bang lead in is really this. It's just like tickets distributed. I know people are tired of hearing that, but we were the first people to call out. This is bullshit with tickets distributed. For 50 fucking years with scalpers and Ticketmaster and everything else, even Yankee Stadium, today's paid attendance, 53,177. You didn't have Bob Shepard say, today's tickets distributed 59,000. You can distribute 100,000 tickets. These motherfuckers, it's just like when TNA Impact's rating got so low. Let's no longer say 0.4. Let's no longer say 0.7. Let's say 377,000. When the demos get low enough, that's when they'll do it there. Like I say, ask yourself, how come the overall rating, they'll tell you the number, but when it's the 18 to 49, they'll say 0.21. Why do they not tell? Because when they tell you 211,000, that sounds fucking low. Holy shit. You mean to tell me their TV deal is focused around 198,000 fans? They don't do that. We ain't stupid. Tickets distributed. Who the fuck does that? All of a sudden, tickets distributed because it sounds better. They don't put tickets sold anymore. They go to the IRS and they report their revenue. Do they turn around and say, well, we sold 45,000 tickets, but we gave away 6,000. So we should be able to deduct it from our taxes. And you know what IRS will say? Well, that's not a charity. You gave away fucking tickets. You shouldn't have gave them away. Moron. You didn't give it to a charity. You can't deduct it. How come on the tax papers, it's the amount of tickets sold, but everywhere else, it's tickets distributed? It sounds better. I guarantee you, Queen of the Indies that drew 80, they distributed 455 tickets. So some idiot out there is going to say, Queen of the Indies, August 16th results, total tickets distributed, 544. Then when you watch the video, like, how come there's only 2 rows of people? What were they all in the back eating hot dogs? Soon enough, people will start calling that out too, Kevin. Soon. Umar, Cena finishes second in the Royal Rumble. He wants his 17th world title. Umar, this is my honest opinion. 3 years ago, I said Bryan Danielson would not become AEW world champion. Didn't want it. Now I think there's a very good chance he will get it. Things have changed. I think John Cena has told WWE, do not put the world championship on me during my last year. I don't deserve it. I didn't earn it. It's a retirement tour. I think John Cena, that's probably the way he goes. But I also think Triple H, creative, Nick Khan, go. That's all you hear about John Cena, greatest of all time. Go. You're going to be the greatest of all time. Championship number 17. Right? Does it make sense? Is one title short of having the record. I think go. Go. They want him to be the GOAT. Well, you get closer to GOAT status when you have title reign number 17. That's just my opinion. Listen, Benjamin, I agree with you. John Cena is not the greatest of all time. But that's an opinion. That's my opinion. That's your opinion. There are some people out there that think he is. I've always said this. The reason why some people consider John Cena being the greatest of all time It's because John Cena came around at a time where wrestling was on a big decline. Attitude era was gone. Political correctness was in. You did not have your next Hulk Hogan's, your next Steve Austin, your next Rocks, that they kind of had to tread water on who they already had established. And John Cena got them through a period at a successful rate high enough that I don't think anybody else would have been able to do. You know, when money is just pouring in fucking everywhere, who's the reason for it right now? Who would you say in the WWE right now is the reason all this goddamn money's coming in? Cody? Any one person? But when you look at John Cena at that time, he was the one guy, the leader, the head guy that got those kids going to those shows, that got the parents to take the kids to those shows, that got enough people out there that wanted to see him get his ass kicked, got half the crowd to go, let's go Cena, and the other half to go, Cena sucks. That's why a lot of people feel John Cena is on GOAT status for this generation, not of all time, for this generation. The only problem is, greatest of this generation would be Gotag. I don't think it would flow off the tongue if he had a shirt that said GOTG on it. Gotag. You got to use GOAT. It's like even Natty, she calls herself Boat. No, yeah, Boat, right? And I always thought, like, bitch ass of all time, like bitching all the time. Biggest bitcher of all time. But I like Natty. I just joke around. I think Natty calls herself Boat. Best of all time. Did I see Fulham's women's team AEW shirt sponsor? Yes, I did. The Fulham soccer team, the women's team, their jerseys now have AEW smack in the front. I don't really see anything wrong with it because that's Tony Khan's team. You know what I mean? So I really don't think much of it. I'll tell you this much. The women looked 10 times happier wearing those jerseys than those football players holding the AEW title. Do I have any of those pictures available? I don't think I did. I deleted those son of a bitches as quick as I could. If I have any of those pictures here, I have all those women that get those NIL tryouts. But I heard a lot of them are not going to be signed, so we're never going to cover them. But do I have the football teams? I think I deleted them already. Yeah, I think I deleted them already. You look at all those players, none of them looked excited to be holding those titles. There was one guy that had like a smile on his face. Everybody else was like kind of like upset. Those women looked happy, but that's Tony Khan's team. It's in-house advertising, you know. I won't be surprised if you'll see AEW supporting Fulham somewhere on their graphics. I bet you they're represented at All In. I bet you they're sitting ringside and they'll be acknowledged on screen. You might see even some memorabilia, merchandise being sold representing that team. I think it's reciprocal. It's not going to be worldwide. Listen, all those people online that are AEW fans, how can I buy one? You know, first of all, you couldn't even fit around your little penis out there. You got to wear a woman's jersey. You can't even fit it around your arm. Did they make it in 2XL? They make it in size 8. You know, I couldn't even fit into those shirts. You kidding me? But I did see them. I did. Gruss is saying if Nyla Rose had the nickname The Man, like Becky Lynch, would people get mad? Yeah, they would. Because people would be like, listen, I have nothing bad to say about Nyla Rose. I still think about Val Venus and the stupid shit that he said. By the way, I'm not trying to change the subject, but I got to throw this out there since we're on the topic of Nyla Rose. Did you all see that pictorial shoot that Iman Khalif did? I saw it, And I'm like, breaking news. She had her hair done because she's not in a boxing ring. All they did was her hair and they put makeup on. And people like, holy shit, she looks like a woman. And I was like, saying to myself, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I'm not trying to make political statements here. I always thought, look, if Iman Khalif is saying that she's a woman and people are saying she was born a woman, but she had some issues with, that's not her fault. She was born a woman. It's not like she was a man and they're trying to hide it. I was shocked at how many people that jumped the gun and jumped all over. And I felt bad for her. Look, she won gold. She'll be fine. But I felt bad. I'm like, man. And I'm not trying to sound cruel when I say this, because I remember Nicole Bass. A lot of you don't know. I mean, some of you do, but a lot of you don't know. I was friends with Nicole Bass. Nicole Bass lived 5 minutes from my house. We used to hang out in front of her house in the 80s, blasting boom boxes at 1 a.m. And she would come down and say, could you shut that off? I can't sleep. Nicole Bass was really, really cool. I know she's a freakazoid in wrestling, but she used to cry sometimes, like, people think I'm a fucking man. She was very, very hurt, but she also understood if you could have muscles the size of my kneecaps or my head, yeah, it comes with the territory. But, I kind of thought of Nicole Bass when I saw what was going on with Iman Khalif. And when I saw the photo shoot, I was like, I'm watching people like, holy shit, she looks like a woman. And I was like, yeah, she's not in a boxing ring. So, of course, she's got her hair done. She's got makeup and breaking news. Now she looks like a woman. What it kind of reminds me of? You remember, this might be a really, really bad comparison. But there was a movie in the 80s. I don't think it was The Breakfast Club. I know some people immediately going to think Ali Sheedy. But there was another movie in the 80s where there was a girl that looked like a guy. And everybody used to make fun of her and call her butch and everything like that. And then she got her hair and makeup done. And she came to like a dance or something, and she looked like the hottest person there. Everybody flocked around. And it's not Carrie either, before anybody says. But there was a movie from the 80s where there was a girl that everybody thought was a guy, because she looked manly, and she got her hair and makeup done and went to the fucking dance, and everybody was like flipping all over her. And it kind of reminded me of the stuff with Iman Khalif. Gruss says The Color Purple. I never watched The Color Purple. That's with Whoopi Goldberg, right? Never watched that movie. But, oh yeah, Athletic Gamer. Yeah. This is definitely something. He's surprised that I did not know about the Logan Paul Japan Forest stuff. It's one of the main reasons why he hates him as a person, and someone who suffers from suicidal thoughts and anxiety. An offended Athletic Gamer. The little bastard literally went there. I don't know if you wrote the comment on YouTube earlier today, but I responded to one earlier. Someone else wrote something too. Might be yours. And you know what? Athletic Gamer adds to this. And I'll say this about Logan Paul. Might surprise some people. Athletic Gamer goes on to say that he did it in Japan knowing that it was that type of forest that made fun of, suicide victims, and his apology wasn't even sincere. I don't care how good at wrestling he is. I'm not going to acknowledge a shit person like him. I know I said this, I think it was this morning's news report, but obviously that's covering news and it's not like an opinion show. But I'll say this right now. For years and years and years, I have stayed away from morons that go on Twitter or YouTube or TikTok and do some really, really outrageously horrible things and say horrible things just to get noticed. I never knew about the forest in Japan. Never knew about that, about Logan Paul, up until Dominic Mysterio appearing on his podcast. I'm not going to deny this, and I'm not saying it because you super chatted this. I'm kind of disappointed in myself, and I'll tell you why. I have praised Logan Paul quite a bit for what he is, his commitment to wrestling over the last couple of years. Sure, wrestling is not number one for him, but you could see that he takes it seriously. And I appreciated that as a wrestling fan. And I had a lot of people saying to me, how could you support this guy? He's a piece of shit. And you see some of his childish behavior online. And it kind of reminded me somewhat of, I can't even use this guy as an example. I know I'm making a huge mistake when I say this. I don't think IShowSpeed has done anything really, really dopey. But then again, I don't know nothing about the guy. But what it seems like to me, all right, here's a good one. Forget IShowSpeed, because I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not a fuck up. There's a guy that, if I remember correctly, an American citizen who went to Japan and would do things to people in Japan. I don't know if he would like hit them with something, or pull their pants down, or he would just like do stupid things and run away. There was a guy in the United, even better, there's some of you will know this one, and you'll know his name too. There was a guy in the United Kingdom not too long ago that I believe was in the United Kingdom, and he took like an old lady's dog and ran away and live streamed it, and the woman fell down and he's laughing it up. He pulled somebody and threw them to the ground and started running around. He finally got his ass arrested. Some of you know who I'm talking about. And some people are coming to the defense of IShowSpeed saying he's cool. I'm glad I didn't go there with him, because honestly, I don't know anything about him, so it'd be disrespectful for me to assume that he did anything wrong. But a lot of you know who I'm talking about. There's a guy that went to the United Kingdom and got his ass arrested. He was going into the trains and he was harassing people, and he was he would do something to someone and run away and start laughing at it. He would grab their suitcase or grab something and run away, and he thought it was fucking hilarious, and he finally got his ass arrested. Went into somebody's house. Yes, that's the guy, Michael. We broke into somebody's house. The guy came home and said, "What are you doing here?" And he's live streaming it and he's laughing it up. People like that, I purposely try to avoid, because I want to beat the fucking shit out of them. And I can't. And I always say to myself, somebody will. And when I hear that somebody puts their ass in a hospital, I didn't do it myself, but I got the satisfaction that somebody held them accountable. So when it comes to fuck-ups like Logan Paul and people in the past, whenever I hear something utterly moronic for attention, I stay away from it. So I'm sure when Logan Paul went to Japan, I'm sure somebody on our shows back then and said, "Did you hear about this guy going to Japan?" And I probably said, "I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to know. Fuck those people." I did not know about Logan Paul, did not pay attention to it until Dominic joked about shadow banned in Japan. I looked it up last week and I found the story. And for those that don't know that story, Logan Paul, and this is only 7 years ago, 5 years ago? It's not that long ago. Logan Paul went to Japan. And, even worse at the time, because he's got no facial hair. Like, he has facial hair now because he thinks he looks more macho and manly. Back then, he's got no facial hair. Even more, you want to just punch him out. But he's wearing a hat from, I think, Toy Story. Or one of those, what was it, Despicable Me's or whatever it is. The one that's out now that does the House of Pain, that commercial, and goes, "Ah!" They're doing the House of Pain stuff. He's wearing one of those hats. And they're in a forest in Japan. And the forest is well known for people going there to end it all. Because it's quiet and it's serene. And people feel that they finally found peace and they go there to end it all. And he goes there wearing a goofy hat all the way to Japan and he live streams. And they happen to find somebody who did do the final thing. And he's laughing. And they're all laughing. I knew nothing about this. And then I hear about what he said towards Iman Khalif. Again, I'm not trying to make political statements here. For me, and this will upset some people out there, and please don't take it the wrong way, but all this controversy over the last bunch of years for pronouns, bullshit. You know, call yourself whatever you want to call, but don't fucking throw that stuff on me. Don't address me as she. Address me as them or fuck you. Don't fucking put that. Some people have done that to me. And I'm like, no. You know, I call you by your name. Don't give me no pronoun. What's your name then? If you don't want to be known by he or she, then tell me your name and I'll call you by your name. That's how I feel about it. You know, like these people that put pronouns, he, she, they, them, we. No, how's about us? That's my pronoun, us. And I'm not trying to be cute here. People have to put pronouns next to the names. Should I put Mr. because I'm married? It's bullshit. It's like people feel like they got to put like something next to their name, like, because it means more powerful. You know, do whatever you want, but don't throw this shit on me. But the Logan Paul stuff, I'm like, now I see the Iman Khalif stuff and what he said about her. Now I see the Japan forest. My thoughts are, WWE, man. You know, there's an old saying, you could take a piece of shit out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the piece of shit. You know, and to me, Logan Paul, I don't care how good looking he looks with the, you know, facial hair now. I don't care how physically fit he is. I don't care how good his energy drinks are. I don't care how successful an entrepreneur he is. I don't care what kind of social media following he has. That guy, at the end of the day, reveals that he is still an immature jerk who has a lot of money and a lot of social influence. There's a lot of people that for some reason buy into his shit. And it seems like every couple of years, the immature, rich little prissy piece of shit who happens to be successful comes out and people just write it off, you know, like oopsies. No, I don't like that. Because when LA Knight in storyline writes oopsies, now you're kind of like being lighthearted about a very serious situation. LA Knight vandalizes his truck and writes on social media, oopsies. Well, Logan Paul said oopsies about calling a woman a man and basically telling millions and millions of people out there that it's disgusting to see what she did to that Italian boxer. And a wrestler in storyline uses the oopsie term. I got news for you. I'm not happy about LA Knight trying to take something really, really fucked up and serious and using the same term in a storyline. So honestly, a lot of my support for Logan Paul is out the door now. Because if the Iman Khalif stuff wouldn't have come out of his mouth, you know what my answer would have been right now, Athletic Gamer? Maybe he grew up. People do grow up. Maybe he's realized how fucked up that is. You know, but now I see that, you know, you could take the guy out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the guy. To me, he's still a ghetto piece of trash. And the only way he's going to grow up, if somebody puts his ass in the hospital, or if somebody sues the shit out of him and scares him straight. That's the only way that guy's going to change. And honestly, you know, I'm kind of disappointed now at WWE because I'm saying to myself, man, You know, so as long as somebody has a big social media following or a big viewership online, it's like, fuck the fact that the guy keeps fucking saying stupid shit. And I know some people are starting to feel that way towards Pat McAfee. You know, I think sometimes you got to take a little bit of a stance, but I need to remind myself, this is not the Vince McMahon owned WWE anymore. This is the Endeavor owned WWE. And they tolerate the shit that Dana White says. Look at what Dana White has done. And nobody seems to fucking have a care in the world about him. So I'm starting to see, like, you know what? That these people are more about revenue and attention. And if you could get any eyes on our product, yeah, you might be a little bit of a piece of shit. But if you're not doing anything criminal, we'll kind of like turn a blind eye to it. That's how I feel about it. So I'm disappointed. I do disagree, though, with Umar saying here, Logan Paul has to go. And thank you, Athletic Gamer. You know, again, up until now, I had no idea. And you know what annoys me? There's probably other things about Logan Paul out there that I'm almost afraid to look up because I don't think it just started with Japan. The more I'm starting to see about this guy, the more I'm starting to see, you know, okay, this guy might have been a total fuck up for a very long time. How did he get in that position? You know, people like LA Beast. LA Beast here, you know, and he eats like crazy stuff. LA Beast, I like. He's a guy who, you know, does crazy shit, but he's not trying to hurt anybody and he's having fun. Like that kind of stuff, like I'll laugh at. And, you know, I have no problem with it. It's a big difference for what LA Beast does and what Logan Paul does. But I don't think Logan Paul has to go because, you know, the stuff that happened with Japan is a very long time ago now. And his comments about Iman Khalif were obviously wrong and misguided. And, you know, the immature response from him, you know, it's not enough where I think a company would say, look, we're cutting ties with Prime Energy. We're cutting ties with you. We're cutting ties because you made a mistake and you said oopsies. That's not, you know what I mean? Like something else is have to happen where WWE just flat out condones it. And then you got to remember too, Triple H could express an opinion. Nick Khan could express an opinion, but at the end of the day, the board of directors are going to be the ones that are really going to determine what happens. So, yeah, it's just I don't know Logan Paul enough personally, but yeah, I'm not a fan of his anymore. I saw that stuff and I'm just like, you know what annoys me about it with Logan Paul, and we'll move on. We'll start wrapping this up because now we're at 3 hours and I still have to do a news update. So we got to end this now. But I'll say this in closing. If Logan Paul happened to be skiing in the mountains, going to Cape Cod, going to Pennsylvania, going to California, and he stumbles in an area that, you know, happens to be, you know, like what was in Japan. And he's like, oh shit. And he starts live streaming and he starts acting stupid. Even though it's still messed up and wrong, I would be like, all right, you know, immature, stupid, shouldn't have gone there. What annoys me 10 times more about it is this guy didn't live in Japan and didn't just stumble on this forest. They spent thousands of dollars in transportation and travel, booking arrangements, and planned a trip to fly all the way to Japan and film himself in that forest. And even more, I just picture Logan Paul with his friends in his house, preparing for this trip, knowing they're going to a forest where people do this, and him looking at his friends and be like, oh shit. Oh, what if I brought this Toy Story fat? How fun. Oh, people want to kill me. Oh, look, put the Toy Story hat. Oh, you got to wear the hat. Got to wear the hat. Oh my God, you got to, that's ultimate not taking it serious. That's ultimate disrespect. Oh, that's fucked up. Yo, I dare you to wear that hat. You dare me to wear that hat? I'll fucking wear it. I'll fucking parade in it. I'll fucking pose in front of somebody who's gone. Just imagine that preparation. It's not like he was walking down, oh, look, hat. That motherfucker planned that shit. That's why I'm so annoyed at it. He planned that shit. And I think the Dominic exchange with him, I know Logan Paul welcomes this friction on his podcast because it gets people talking. But I truly believe, in hindsight, I think Logan Paul was kind of like, yo, Dom, there's a lot of people that didn't know about that I don't think we should have brought that up. But because, it got controversy and it's years ago, well, that's not me now. I made a mistake back then. It was oopsies. You know what's sad about it? He probably lost no followers. Probably lost no followers on his social media accounts. Because how many years ago did that happen? And look at the support he has now. And I guarantee almost all of them who follow him probably knew about that incident. They probably laughed with him. Until something happens to somebody that they love, then they feel like, you know what, that's kind of fucked up. Yeah, listen, as much as I dislike like Busted Open and guys like that, like Dave LaGreca and stuff, I do admit he knows his audience very, very well. And there is that audience that goes along with that style. And that's why he's as successful as he is. And I get it. There is definitely, a certain way to act, and there's enough people that will follow. But honestly, that's, listen, Dave LaGreca, even though I don't like him professionally, that guy personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think the guy is harmless. I think, the guy's probably one of the nicest guys outside of wrestling. I think the guy is probably, a really, really good guy outside of wrestling. I would take 1,000 Dave LaGrecas before I would take a Logan Paul. And that's the God honest truth. So, all right. Thank you, Umar. Shout out to Theme Parks with Johnny, who's celebrating 2 years and 7 months as a member of the family, a made man of the family here. Have I ever done Halloween events like Universal Studios or something similar? Yeah. 2 years ago, I went on my honeymoon to Disneyland with my wife in Florida, and we went in October, and we went to the Halloween parades. We didn't stay that long because my wife, well, we're pretty sure she caught COVID like a day or two before. What happened was the day that we had tickets for the Halloween Boo Parade or whatever it is, she started feeling cold and sickly. I still felt fine. And we went to Magic Kingdom. We stood for a few hours and then we left. And I was mad because I don't think I was on keto at the time. And I was like, I want candy. I want to eat loads of candy, loads of chocolate. She's like, you got your credit card. You could buy it in the lobby. We went back to the room and then it rained. It rained. So we really didn't get a chance to really enjoy it as much as we wanted to. I kind of want to go back to Disney again. I've never been a fan of Disney. I never grown up with, hi-oh, Mickey Mouse. I was more like, Kermit the Frog, Muppets. Like I was more into Muppets than, I never grew up into Disney. I never watched anything Disney. I honestly don't think I might have watched like Donald Duck. Never watched really Disney, but we had fun there. But the problem is, I'm older now, and walking around that much, I went on, what's that? Guardian of the Galaxy. I went on that ride. Honestly, I think I still have bruises in my hip from that ride. I never showed you all the picture, but they snapped the picture while we were on it. And I swear to God, all you see, me and my wife were like this. I was scared shit, man. I thought I was going to die. We were just freaked out. We walked out of there. I think we did it at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And by 11 o'clock, we were like outside, like going back to the room. I never really got into Disney. I don't know why. I never really did. Like, I watched like some of the black and white Mickey Mouse cartoons when I was a kid, but I was never like, like Saturday night, NBC, Disney, like the Disney Hour. I never really watched them. Never really watched The Lion King. Never really watched Beauty and the Beast. The Two Dogs Eating Pasta. I think I might have watched like a little bit of that. Never really was into Disney, but I kind of liked it when we went. It was good vibes. It was nice. It was good vibes. Yeah, I was Tom and Jerry guy. I was Tom and Jerry, even Bugs Bunny to an extent. I was into cartoons like that. Was never into really the Disney stuff. I was more into like the wise asses of cartoons. Like Popeye being a dick to Bluto, and Bluto trying to steal Olive from Popeye, and Tom and Jerry like fucking with the dog, Tom trying to fuck with Jerry, Bugs Bunny giving everybody heart attacks, Woody Woodpecker, biggest prick of them all. Like, I liked the cartoons that were kind of like assholes. I never thought like Mickey Mouse was an asshole. I always thought he was a little too nice. Like, you're a little too nice to Minnie. Fuck you. Like, you kind of like felt like Mickey Mouse was kind of like the Dave LaGreca of cartoons. Like, you just wanted somebody to walk up. And it's just my opinion when I was a kid. I wanted somebody to just walk up to Mickey and just one time, just punch him in the mouth. Maybe Goofy could go rogue. That's for giving me shitty dog food, you asshole. All right. We gotta get out of here. Much love. Lady and the Tramp. That's it. I watched a little bit of Lady and the Tramp. I thought that was a cute movie. But I kind of different now about Disney. I kind of appreciate it more now. I see why people love it as much as they do. So, yeah, and then when the 90s came, Beavis and Butthead, and then you had Robot Chicken, and, that's my deal. That's my deal. Heathcliff was good. Garfield with his lasagna. Those were good cartoons also. Much love, everybody. I'm out of here. I will catch you all again. God, less than 24 hours from now. We have the DTKC show. I got to do the news update. My ass is hurting, but you know what? I got to be honest with you. I'm going to have to put a poll up. Seriously. I definitely want you all to vote. Not even like hit the like button stuff. I know everybody does that. If you want to do that, of course, please. But I'm going to post a poll in the comment section for next Sunday's All In. Not a good idea, right? No. Next week, we'll do Friday. The week after, because Bash in Berlin's a Saturday, and there's a time difference. I'll put up a poll. Not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. Should we do it again? Or should we do it for Friday? Seems like, listen, the turnout on Fridays have been great. Tonight was a little different, though. And last Sunday, we felt it, too. When Kevin and I were on last Sunday, it was definitely bigger than the last time we did a special on YouTube. So I'll put a poll up. I'll post it in the next couple of days. So that date would be the 1st of September. So we'll put up a poll for, should we do that weekend on Friday, the 30th of August, or should we do September 1st on a Sunday? I'll let you all vote. And if you want to move back to Sunday, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it. Sam says AEW's All In and Bash is at 1 p.m. Oh, that's right. That's right. UK. Stupid me. So yeah, so maybe we can do next Sunday. Maybe we can. Yeah, thank you, Sam. All right. Even better. Even better. All In would have been off the air for like 4 hours already. So, hey, I'll leave it up to all of you. Next week, do we do it on Friday or do we do it on Sunday? Same time, 8 o'clock. So we'll see. Roderick, you do got a good point. All In may go 7 hours long. Yeah, look, if it starts at 1 o'clock, I think 5 o'clock, realistically, and then you got the press conference, it ends at 6. But you know what? A lot of people will have that frame of mind talking about wrestling. And honestly, a lot of those podcasters out there that do pay-per-view reviews probably going to do it right after All In. So by 8 o'clock, most of them already done this shit. I don't know. It might be a lot to digest next weekend. So I'll put up the poll and you guys determine what we do next week. And we'll see what it is. Even if we end up doing next week on a Friday, doesn't mean that the week after we can't do Sunday. You know, we'll see. We'll see. But I'll definitely post the poll and we'll see how everybody votes and we'll determine it that way. But I want to thank you all for a fun night tonight. Now, if anybody looking to download this audio version, what I'm probably going to do is, before I even put this online tonight, I'm going to record my daily news update. So I'm going to record that now. That report's probably only going to be about 20 minutes. I already know what I'm going to talk about, and none of the topics are long conversations. I mean, I'm going to check my email to see if anything broke late tonight, but that report should be fairly quick. So both the daily news update and tonight's sit down will be online in audio form probably by midnight. And then the video version of the daily news update for channel members, that'll probably be up by 12:30. Now I'll be out cold by 1. Yeah, I'll be asleep by 1. So I'll get myself 6 hours. Set my alarm for 7. And I appreciate all the feedback so far with the daily news updates. They've been interesting. You know, it's still going to take me a few weeks to get into a groove. It's starting to feel more and more like my old hotline days. I see little grooves, and I also see what to focus on and what not. Plus, you know what? People have really appreciated the non-WWE AEW stuff. We've talked TNA, we've talked MLW. Tonight, we're talking Queen of the Indies, we're talking TripleMania. So we're getting to talk about other promotions, not just your usual, topics. So, and, each one is only 2-3 minutes, so it's not a whole lot of discussion. And if somebody doesn't want to hear that particular promotion, they could skip it. So, guys, catch you all again today. Have a good one.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.